Are you ready? I said, are you ready? What's good? This is Schmitty. Another episode of Talkin Schmit, the skateboarding podcast that comes out every Tuesday, or almost every Tuesday. Today on the program, Screaming Lord Salba, Steve Alba. It's episode 169. Can you put two and two together for that one? Also, it is August 16th, 2022 today, and it is my anniversary. I made it 1 year with Cheryl Amber Camisa Smith. Things are going great. We're off. We're gonna have a fucking little soiree. We're gonna juice it up in the wine country, and should be back next week with episode 170. Big ups to Salba. Thank you so much for doing this episode. Cheryl asked me, she's like, did you stop and think about like doing 169 episodes? What's that feel like? And I was like, to be honest, having Salba on the show seemed way cooler than doing 169 episodes. Hope you guys enjoy it. True or false, Mike Kruko lives right there. Peace.
Head on down to your local shop. Ask Bloodwizard Skateboards. Or visit bloodwizard.com for all your conjuring needs.
Tickety-tack.
Hey, it's Corey at Blue Plate, 3218 Mission Street. Come see us. Meatloaf, fried chicken, deviled eggs, Dollar Olympia beers. We're here every day of the week. We got a garden and we got smiles on our faces. Come let us make you happy.
I just did 50 push-ups in preparation for my next guest. The one, the only, Screaming Lord, Steve Alba, kids. Come listen and learn.
Okay. Hey, how you guys all doing out there? This is Steve Alba, Salba, and we're on Talkin Schmit. Episode 169. Waited 169 episodes for this, but it's appropriate. So I think it's kind of cool. So I'm stoked to be on it, and thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate that.
Holy cannoli.
It's cool, like tonight is the night.
Yeah.
Big dog's in.
Do we really want to be here?
Everything's changed.
We on? Schmitty?
Talkin Schmit.
Talkin Schmit, dude.
You gonna come out different.
Shit my pants, lad.
Your Rolodex is fucking deep.
Holy shit.
It's about the ones.
Who is this guy? Thinks he's tough shit.
What's up?
Come on, Schmitty, what the fuck?
Tell the skateboard police to come get me.
What is happening?
Let's hear it for Greg Smith.
Okay, guys, I've known the next guest before I started this podcast, but we had a deal way back in Nam that we were going to at least do 200 episodes. And at episode 169, he had checked that box long before I even started this. This is a big deal for me, and it should be really interesting and informative to all y'all. This is Steve Alba. Salba, how are you?
Doing great, man.
Thanks for taking the time, dude. Stoked.
Yeah, my hip hurts a little bit this morning. I don't even know why my hip hurts, man. I didn't even do anything all week. I mean, I surfed a couple of days ago and I rode the bike yesterday, but my hip shouldn't hurt. Like I woke this morning, my hip was killing me. I'm like, fuck, dude. I really wanted to skate today, but I know I had to do this. Maybe I'll just wait till tomorrow and stretch out and do my yoga tonight and see what's up.
Stretching super important, right? I
think so. I mean, I've always done it since I was young. I didn't do yoga up until I got to be about 40. No, I'm probably like 45. I didn't start doing yoga until I was like 45, maybe. But I've always stretched, and then once I started doing yoga, it was like a whole nother trip. It was like stretching like times 1,000. So, but it's kind of funny because I kind of got into it completely by accident, and I was hurt. It's funny now we're talking about being hurt again, but I got hurt at Upland when we made Upland. One night, it was summertime. I was dropping in the big extension. I had a brand new board, and you guys all know I always ride those Formica boards. So the Formica's slippery on the bottom. And when you're riding metal coping, when your tail drops, sometimes your board shifts a little bit, which we all know when you drop in, your board shifts a little bit. It's like, fuck. But anyhow, I was getting ready to drop in on the big extension, like the 14-foot extension, I think it is at that place. But there was this kid in the shallow end, and he was going to drop it. He didn't see me. And he went to drop in, and all my friends stopped it, but his board went rolling down into where I was going to drop. And I was already committed. I was already dropping in when his board went rolling in at me. So I kind of kicked my board out from the lip. And then when I did that, I was just going to just knee slide down. But when I kicked my board out, my board was so slippery that somehow my board went straight forward. And then when I kicked my board out, I went from the tail drop position, my hit the coping. Right? I almost did like on a pool diving board, you kind of do the butt one of those and dive in. Right. That's exactly what happened. But I hit my hip, didn't hit my butt. I hit my right hip, and then it made me tumble. And I did a flip in the air and I landed on my back all the way down the bottom.
Oh,
it was fucked. And so I couldn't breathe. I got the air knocked out of me. And the first thing I kind of do, I kind of stand up and see if I can kind of move. And then I kind of did my little, I don't know, like my little arch thing like I do like when I'm skating, kind of like just I take one knee and do it this way and one knee and do it that way. And I did that. And as soon as I did that, I just dropped. And I didn't know at the time I tweaked my spine. I had a bulging disc. So, I mean, weeks go by. I'm not getting any better. It's actually getting worse. I'm getting sciatica. I'm getting all that kind of shit. I go to the doctor, and the doctor's all, hey, man, you have a bulging disc. Like, you need surgery. And I'm just going, like, there's no way I'm going to let you open me up and, like, work on my spine. That's not happening.
Yeah.
So I told the guy, man, no, I'm not going to let you do surgery on my spine. I've heard so many horror stories about that. My mom's been an X-ray tech for 30 years. She works with orthopedic surgeons. They're the ones who always fix me up. And even that guy said, don't ever let him open your spine up. So no, I refuse the surgery.
Right.
And then the guy puts his hand on my shoulder. He's like, good luck, Mr. Alba. And I walked out, and I was like so mad and so frustrated. Like, you're so mad sometimes that you're so frustrated you start crying because you don't know what to do. You're in such pain and so and so started kind of crying. And I came home and told Julie, "Mom, fuck, what am I going to do? I can't skate. I can't do anything. I couldn't. I mean, I was like on my hands and knees to go to the bathroom. That was that bad. I mean, it was fucked.
Oh, fuck.
And so at that point, now the good thing is I was riding for Hurley at that time. And Hurley, the team manager over there, Paul Gomez, and Bob Hurley, the owner, it's like they came to me and they knew what was kind of happening with me. And they go, look, you know what? We have this doctor, Dr. G. He's in Costa Mesa. He works on all our surfers, and he's on retainer. And why don't you go see him and see if he can help you? You know what I mean? Like, we'll pay for it. I'm all like, what? I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? So anyhow, I go there and see Dr. G, and he sees me, and I go have my little interview with him. And 10 minutes in thing, he's like, yeah, I know who you are. You're super gnarly. You're this skater, blah, blah, blah. He's all like, I'm going to tell you something you're not going to like right now, Steve. And I'm all, what? He's all, you're weak. Well, what do you mean I'm weak? He's all, you think you're strong, but you're weak. And I'm all, well, what do you mean? He's all, you have a weak core. And if you have a weak core, that's why you have back problems. And until you fix that, you're not going to be the person you want to be. Mm. I'm all, what? And I'm just like thinking, like, what's this guy saying? You know what I mean? Is he trying to rag at me? And I was taking it. I mean, I wasn't getting upset. I was just I couldn't comprehend, you know what I mean? And so I kind of go home and I kind of sat on it. And then in the meantime, he said, I'll come back to 3 days and, we're going to put you on a schedule. So I would go there 3 days a week. They would work at massage therapy, like tense machines, chiropractic, all that stuff. And then they had me get one into like doing physical therapy. But I have to say, like after about 6, 7, 9 months, I started getting improvement. I started feeling better, and I could start to skate again, and all the pain went away, and I was getting stronger. And all of a sudden, like something clicked in my head, like, wow, maybe I need to do this shit from now on. Yeah. So that's why I kind of started doing the shit I do. You know what I mean? And from there, I mean, I was surfing a lot at that time, but I'm still not that good of a surfer, but I was trying. So I just figured, hey, I'm surfing, I'm doing my yoga, I'm riding the bike, I'm running, I'm jogging. I'm doing all the things you're supposed to kind of do to keep fit. And, I was getting a lot stronger. I was getting better. And even like, I know it's going to sound completely stupid, but even in like the last little Masters contest we have, for the Combi Bowl and all that kind of stuff, that's like our little Super Bowl, you know what I mean? And whether we want to admit it or not, like we're trying and we're trying to do our thing. And, plus we're older than everybody else. So like we're at the top, we're old farts, let's face it. So, but anyhow, all that happened, and then oh man, I made the cut, you know, and Grasso's still alive, and like he's like, come on, man, you gotta make the cut this year. Like you've been missing it by this much the last couple of years. Like, come on, you gotta step it up. And so I remember skating with Jeff a lot right before that contest, and that's when they first built the ramp, and they had just moved it to Huntington at the skate park.
Yep.
Okay, so my thing is for the cons, I had to get my backside airs back from so I started going to ride the ramp with Grasso and the boys, and I got my backside airs back. I started kind of doing channel airs again, and this is like 4 years ago at this point now. But like, dude, I was skating good. I was like, yeah, man, I made fucking cut, dude. You know, and I didn't even care it even happened. You know, like if I'm in top 10, if I got fifth, sixth, I didn't give a shit about that. It's just like you're in the last cut, you're in the show. So like, you know, that was cool, and I was super hyped up. So what I'm trying to get at is all that work hard, it paid off. You know what I mean? As far as like me kind of like, hey, this is my little competition for the year. This is my little thing I'm going to really look forward to and all that kind of crap. So, and I did it though. And I had a goal in mind, and I made the cut, and I was psyched, and Grasso was stoked for me, and like Lance was stoked for me, and all the boys that we skate with are all like, yeah, we fucking did it. You know what I mean? I was like, dude, you know? So that's kind of the hard thing is like when you lose Jeff, and you know, he was like my little rock. I would cry on it and call him at night, and he would do the same thing to me sometimes. Like, you know, so we always called each other at night. You know, it'd be like 11 o'clock at night. Like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? What are you still up for? You know me, I'm up till like midnight, 12 playing guitar. And, you know, I know, and blah blah blah. So it's just kind of crazy how that all works out that way. You know what I mean? And when you lose friends, and you know all the times we had, and I mean, there's so many now that you know, and it's just kind of crazy. And you know, it's trippy. Like, you know, he's telling me like, dude, you can be the last man standing. And it's like, I'm just going, oh, like, what the fuck you saying? You know what I mean? So this is kind of crazy. Burden. But it kind of is. It's kind of like, you know, like Steve does all this work and hard work, and you know, and after a while, like, you know, through COVID shit, that was so hard to go to class and go to gym class, and you know, you can't go to the gym, you can't like do yoga class, and it's just super self motivation and stuff. And so that's when the whole thing just kind of like just fell apart. You know, and I mean, I still ride the bike. I'm still doing my yoga on my own, but I'm not in class still. Right. I need to get back to class. You know what I mean? And so it's just when you're in the class, it's like you're more accountable. Mm-hmm. Even like say like you're going to go learn some more photo skills or more computer skills, man. I mean, and like, let's face it, you're fucking good at that stuff, and that's what you do. But again, like who's to say you couldn't learn more? You know what I mean? So that's my thing. I'm always trying to like kind of learn more and be curious and like ask questions and all that kind of stuff still, because that's just kind of the way I am. But you know, like all that kind of goes back to that main thing of being hurt and trying to just get yourself better and getting that mindset so you're not hurt, because like, you know, you break yourself off sometimes, like you don't want that to happen again, and you kind of think like, what I do wrong so that doesn't happen again. But it's skating, man. You're gonna fucking slam, you're gonna eat shit, you don't know when it's gonna happen. Half the time you think you control, you're out of control. But that's the cool thing about skating. That's what always makes us go back to it. It's just that feeling and that adrenaline and all the feelings that go with it, and the accomplishment of doing something on a board. And even if it's a frontside grind in a pool nowadays, that's still a pretty rad accomplishment for a 59-year-old guy. You know what I mean? So that's the way I kind of look at it. I don't really have like the goals I had in the past, where like I have to do this and this today, or I have to like do a leading tail side while rock and a nose grind. Like I just kind of go with the flow now. You know what I mean? If the session's kind of fucking just cruising, I'm just cruising. Right. The session starts kind of get gnarly, and I'll try to get. So it just depends who we're skating with and what's up. But in my opinion, now the hardest thing for me is skating in the Badlands anymore. Is just skating with people who want to skate. The enthusiasm of our fellow enthusiasts. I mean, all my friends, like, you know, a lot of them have jobs, they have kids, they have families, they work, and they still skate here and there, but they don't skate like as much as I want to skate. And it's like, I mean, and granted, I'm a little lucky for what I do, just to be honest. You know what I mean? You know, I got some stuff that a lot of people don't have, so I am lucky in that respect. You know what I mean? That I can spend more time on fixing my body and not spending that 9 to 10 hour day at work here and there. You know, I don't mind working. I still do bust ass. You know what I mean? But this is, you know, everybody's just got their own little thing they got to do. And it's just keeping busy and keeping focused and keeping positive to keep moving forward. And that's the most important thing in my book. Don't. I mean, hey, it's cool to look backwards and it's cool to step backwards here and there, but looking backwards, stepping backwards isn't the whole thing, man. You can't live on your laurels of what you did yesterday.
Nobody did Johnny Cash like us. Not even Johnny Cash, man.
Right. It's about what you're doing today and tomorrow. You know what I mean? And so I've always felt that way too. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, do you mind if we do a little history? Go back
Yeah, yeah. Do your thing, man. I don't mind.
check
It's
out
all
some.
good.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me
That's one
too.
thing that me and Phelps liked a lot.
Well, I think that you have a lot of connections to some really important things to everybody, but especially me. I mean, working at the mag over 20 years and Fausto and all that stuff. So I definitely want to get into some of it. But even going back further, you won the first ever pool contest in the Hester series, right? Like,
yeah, like the very first organized pool contest, what they want to say. Because some people will kind of say, no, Steve didn't win the first full pool contest, because they did have one at Skatopia prior to the pro one, but it wasn't a pro contest. It was just like a skate park contest. And in this face, that Skatopia pool was a joke anyhow. And all of us who rode that thing, we all know that thing sucked. It was only like 6-7 feet deep anyhow. And if you want to consider the first pool contest, that's fine by me. But as far as like a real true blue professional contest, all that stuff, I did win that. I mean, looking back, it's kind of hard to say how I won it or why I won it. But, you know, that's kind of the one thing that people kind of like talk about to this day. But anyhow, they had a 2-minute run in those days. It wasn't like a 30-second or 45-second run. It was 2 minutes.
So who could stay on their board for 2 minutes?
So basically what you did is you just accumulated points. The longer you stay on your board, you get more points for every wall you hit. And I was very calculated in that sense, especially when I was a kid. Like, man, I could stay on my board for like 2 minutes, like fucking no problem.
Right.
And I did. I was like the only guy. I was the only guy who rode the pole the whole time in that contest and didn't stop. I mean, you know, people stopped, they would come back out and go back in again. But me, I just was like one continuous thing. And that's kind of like, you know, what I've always prided myself on. But again, it goes back to the endurance and the training of me doing exercise before I skateboarded.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people have heard, like, you know, I was into sports a lot. I was into baseball, football, mostly. And I did soccer and basketball too. But I like football and baseball, especially I like baseball way more. I mean, I like football too because you hit people. I like that part. I like hitting people, man. I like to take my aggro. If anyone's giving me shit at school that day, I can just go, you know what I mean? So that part was fun. But all I'm trying to get at is, like, in those kind of sports, we had to run a lot. And even when I was a kid, from 8 years old all the way up to high school, I played sports till I was 15.
Right.
And that's when I won the first contest when I was 15. But after I won that first contest and I kind of saw what we could do with skating, and I got more of a bigger rush in skateboarding than playing sports, to be honest with you. And the thing is, I didn't have to worry about, how do you put this kindly, in a sense where, like, if you were pretty good on your team, which I was pretty good, and I made the sophomore team. I mean, I made the varsity team as a sophomore, was just pretty gnarly looking back, because as a kid to make the varsity, you know, in any sport, to be honest with you. But I just had that kind of dedication, you know what I mean? And so all I'm trying to get at is, we were running a lot in football, running soccer, running baseball. I mean, we were constantly running 3 miles, 5 miles.
So you had the endurance built up.
So I had endurance. And when I was 15, I was like in a top endurance, because I was just in such good shape from doing all that shit. And then after I won that contest, I'm like, you know, I don't want to play sports anymore. I got it like an argument with my baseball coach. I played center field. I had a good arm, and I can, like, nail dudes at the plate. And I always did that. I didn't use the cutoff man. He would always get mad that I wouldn't use cutoff man. He would be pissed. Use the cutoff man out. He's good. So I don't know. I didn't hate the guy. We just argued a lot. And I'm punk rock, and I just won my first contest, and I got a little bit money, and I'm not big headed yet, but I mean, I'm definitely getting a little bit cocky. You know what I mean? And so, we got our own little world too, skating and, and all that. And now I'm in the magazine, and all that kind of crap. But when you're a kid, that's a kind of a cool thing, you know what I mean? And it's something like, it's one thing kind of going to school, and all of a sudden the kids have the magazine on their desk, and like, dude, this is you on the magazine. That's kind of cool. So there's a little bit of that too, you know what I mean? But it was a fun time, man. And the Hester series was such an important part, I think, in today's world, especially like with what's going on with all the contests and just the formats and all that I actually won the very first one. It's kind of rad to actually look back and see that now. I still have the board. I don't have the whole setup. I got rid of the trucks and wheels, but I still have the board, and it's hanging in my garage still to this day. You know what I mean?
Damn, that rules. So, what was the vibe like back then, though? Like, as far as, skating obviously there was not as many pros, and like the interest in it and stuff. Like, was it a big deal, or is it kind of more of a big deal now looking back at it?
No, it was a big deal then for sure. You know what I mean? But again, here's the thing that I think that people tend to forget that led up to the contest, to the Hester series. And I think this is a very important part before the Hester series was all the skate parks at that time had skate park teams.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like Pipe By had a skate park team. Like Big O had a skate park team. Reseda Skatercross had a big skate park team. And this is prior to ASPO. I don't even know what they even called it back in those days, but we would compete against other skate parks and go to their skate park and skate against them. They would come to our skate park, and we'd have like little amateur contests like that. And it was like, I'm thinking 4 or 5 skate parks that participated in this. You know, I think Oasis was one of them, San Diego, Big O in Orange, you know, Upland. I don't think they did one at Whittier yet because this is so old. You know what I mean? This is like the first wave. This is like 77 still. You know what I mean? So some of those places didn't even have pools yet per se. Like Upland didn't even have a pool yet. You know what I mean? It was just like the pipe bowl and the big bowl, the 12-foot bowl, or if you were skate across, it'd be like in the little snake run, you know?
Okay.
So I don't, you know, taking that back, I don't think Big O was even built yet. So I don't think Big O even happened, but we were skating against these skate park guys. You know, that's how I met like Brad Bowman. That's how I met like Shreddy Repis and like some of these guys in the Valley. It's kind of how I met some of the guys in OC. You know, it's kind of how we met Olsen this way. That's kind of like, you know, they had Skatopia skate park, and that was the first one with the half pipe. So that's kind of where I first saw Olsen and saw George Ortman and saw Dwayne for the first time. You know, some of those guys, and not that we kind of all knew each other yet, but there was definitely kind of like these vibes. Like, dude, have you seen that Steve Olsen guy? Man, he's gnarly. And it wasn't even really like Olsen in those days. He was bulky still. He was like back in those days. You know, like some of the guys called him that, and even like some of the photographer guys kind of knew him. And James Casmus, who was taking photos of us, knew him. But I just remember like seeing some of these guys back in the old days. And when you seen like the pros back in those days, even before the contest at Spring Valley, I used to see a lot of guys at El Pool and Baldy Pipe and 6th Street Way who would come out here to skate with us, like Kevin Anderson and Doug Schneider and like Greg Ayers. And because those guys rode for Tunnel, that's how I met Blackheart.
Shout out.
Oh, shit.
I met Blackheart through Greg Ayers and Doug Schneider and Jim Casmus, because they had gone up north and skated with him up on Bora and took some photos of him at that old the wooden ramp that he had the photos in. And Schneider came back and like, dude, there's this crazy ramp made out of wood. We skated this pipe. This pipe's just like Upland, man. He would love it, Steve, because he knew I was a pipe freak, you know what I mean? So I was like, wow. So I was just a little kid. And most of these guys, even in the first contest, were older than me. I was only 15. So like, you know, Blackheart's like going to be 18, 19 already. You know, so these guys had a 3 or 4. Even Olsen was like a year and a half older than me. You know what I mean? Dwayne's like a year and a half older than me. But Dwayne didn't enter the contest then because he was doing other stuff, and he was on that what was that crazy skateboard show that they were doing. He was on that for the Hester series. You know what I mean? For the first Hester series. But I think the crazy thing too is back then people don't remember this. And like they tend to forget that the skateboards and all the equipment was so much different than nowadays. Right. And you yourself are kind of cognizant about like what the skateboards were like in those days. And like when you're riding like a 7-inch board, like with like little dinky wheels, and you know, you had 60s and 63s even then, but it's just the bearings didn't work, maybe, especially some of the early bearings were shitty until GMNs came out and the precision bearings came out. So just the equipment changing, like literally like on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, like every 3 months is something new. Every 3 months is a new truck or a new wheel. And every time you had the contest, like, so for the Hester series, you had 1 contest, 2 contests, 3 contests, 4 contests. And each one of those contests was like maybe a month and a half goes by, maybe 2 months. And then for the next contest, you know, all of a sudden people are riding wider boards and bigger wheels, and they're flowing better. And by the 3rd contest in Newark, that's when Bobby Valdez brings out the invert. You know, that's when Blackheart rolls in front side. I could roll in backside already, but that contest, like really kind of, that's when we all kind of got an indie too. It's like, that's when really separated the pack, so to speak, where bigger boards are coming in, better tricks are coming in, front side airs and inverts. Indie airs aren't quite there, but people are doing tail taps, you know, rock walks. It's still pretty early, you know what I mean? So the first year is still not too many tricks, but airs are coming in, you know, rock and rolls are coming in, inverts are coming in, layback airs are coming in. You know, like the whole foundation basically for skating is being built, whether people want to admit that and kind of like kind of like, hey, that's how it went down. But that's kind of the way I've always looked at it, you know, because those first 2 or 3 or 4 years between 77 and say 81, like so much stuff got done in skateboarding, whether it's street, whether it's pool, whether it's bowl, whether it's pipe, and all genres of skating. But again, all that stuff was made up then. And what people do nowadays is just like a progression of what they did then. And I'm not saying there's just some stuff nowadays that's not made up too, there is. But for the most part, most of the plate that we skateboarders feed off of were made in those days.
Right.
You know what I mean? All your ollies, your varials, your switch stuff, which Mike Weed was one of the first guys to go switch, and Kevin Anderson. They're never going to get credit for that. People don't even know that. But they're the first guys who did. Mike Weed was the first guy ever to do a half body varial.
Right.
You go fakie in the pipe and just turn, like you would go forward and then turn around, and he would go forward again, like stuff like that. You know, I mean, Mike Weed was the first guy I ever saw do a 360 on the wall.
Well, it's like when they were doing it, no one was thinking that was probably not like a move. It was as much as like now it's like, oh, that's a switch, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
like everything's labeled now. Before it was more just skating based, right?
Yeah.
Like we're just skating.
And for that matter, it was so esoteric. You didn't have names for it at the time. Like, dude, what did you just do?
I don't even answer questions like that.
Not again. Show me it so I can understand it. You know what I mean? So
the insanity.
I mean, that's the thing too. Back when we were kids, man. Like, you know, the whole progression of the magazines and the photos too. Like in the first photos, it's only a single shot. It's a single frame shot. And then when the motor drives came out, the first motor drive shots were only 3 frames. And then it went from 3 to 5, and then from 5 to 7, and then from 7 to like infinity. But at that point, it's like, you know, just seeing like an aerial, like a 3-shot sequence, or like, you know, unless you actually saw it in person, like, oh, that's, and then you can kind of understand a little bit and kind of get your head around it. Like, that's what he's doing.
Right.
Because sometimes you just see this shot in the magazine, like, dude, that what was that? You know what I mean? And in the space of the 70s stuff, there's lots of bails. You can see that the feet aren't on and stuff. But you know what? The thing is, the explosiveness was there. And then even like Jay, like the footage of Jay, like at Carlsbad doing like hand down like Andrix. Well, like that's because basically that's what Jay was doing. He didn't do an invert, he did an Andrix back in those days. But prior to Dave Andrix even being around, you know what I mean? Prior to even being a name on it, Jay called it a flyaway era, or whatever the hell he called it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what I'm trying to get at, man. They were just setting the pace then, you know what I mean? You know, everybody who was there was setting the pace for others to follow. You know, Jay, Tony, myself, I mean, everybody, Olsen.
Shout out.
You know, anybody who made some kind of Blackheart, something in those days, you know. And then you got the other, you know, younger guys like Cab coming in. And Algera coming in, where they're going to take it to a whole nother level. And like Tony Hawk coming in. Yeah. Like, you know, and like Hosoi coming in, and some of those guys, you know, that like they're still skating this day, and it's what they saw we did and just took it to a whole nother level. But the cool thing is we were all friends then, and we're all friends now, and it was just that thing, like, and so that's the kind of cool thing about skating now is there's not that whole like it was in the 90s, like you know, when all the baggy shorts and it's just you got like little wheels, like 43 wheels or whatever, and like, you know, it's just so urbanized. At that point, like, you know, fuck you old guys and all your punk rock bullshit. Well, it's just cool because, you know what, skating has to change though, man. And that's, as much as you look back, and even in those days, like when we all got kind of fired and all had to get real jobs again, and that's just life, man. That's nature. And as kids, as youth.
The problem with youth is it's wasted on the young.
You know, youth is always going to be the premium, the space, you know what I mean? Like the 18 to 25, that's always going to be your market premium, man. And even when I was that age, I mean, I still think that's when I skated my best. You know what I mean?
That's what's crazy is like your generation clearly doesn't have this mold, but I feel like this, like the now generation, like from what I've been hearing and seeing, it is like a 4 to 5 year window. I mean, you've been doing it for years and years, and you still can put out boards and all that stuff. But a guy like, I don't even know, let's just say Nick Merlino, he comes in now and he's, you know, skates rad and he's like the top of his thing for a minute, and then all of a sudden he's gone. And it's like, you know, Tyshawn is the number one guy, but like, but your generation kept the relevancy and kept like the long haul. And I mean, everyone, you can talk about all the differences, street skate versus transition and how it's harder on your body and all that different stuff. But I mean, the pioneers and creating always in my mind is so cool and so much more difficult than like taking something that's already done and mastering it.
Yeah. And I agree with you 100% on that. You know, and I was kind of blown away by Lance and Vallely.
Shout out.
Because Vallely was on 9 Club not too long ago and like saying some pretty good stuff about me. And I was, I mean, I'm pretty good friends with him. And, you know, we got a pretty good thing. And I love the guy. I respect the guy a lot. He's a badass. I fucking love that guy. But I was blown away that Lance told him a story and then he repeated the story. And I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. And basically on the 9 Club, he's saying like, you know, that what I do is one of the hardest things on a skateboard. Because what I do, a lot of people don't do. Everybody can copy Lance. Everybody can copy Tony. Everybody can copy Christian. Everybody can copy everybody else. But Lance said it's really hard to copy me.
I'm not claiming. that
was really cool. And that made me kind of like that was a proud skater moment, so to speak, because like you're gaining acknowledgement from someone whose face is pretty much one of the raddest guys that's touched skateboard, Lance Mountain. We've been bros forever too, and I love what he does. I mean, everything he does about skateboarding, he just lives in the skateboarding. He is skateboarding. I mean, for that matter, I think I am too. But Lance just has this reach that some of us don't have. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? And so I think that's kind of cool in that respect. You know what I mean? Now, I'm late to the social media game. Let's be honest. I was fighting it. I didn't want to do it. I just didn't really like it. And it was my kid, Jesse, who actually kind of got me on Instagram originally. And then NHS and Santa Cruz and Indy say, hey, you know, if we're going to kind of keep doing your thing with you, you need to kind of participate in this a little bit more, which I kind of cool. And I kind of ran with it now. But again, like I just kind of do my own thing. It's just more or less, you know, my skateboarding, my artwork, my music, you know, a little bit of this and a little bit of that here and there. But you know, some of these guys like Lance and Hosoi and these guys who kind of got into a little earlier, I mean, they got like 100,000 dues or 250,000 dues and all that kind of stuff. And it's hard to keep up. And it's kind of like almost like, whoa, like I'll never be that guy. You know what I mean? Well, not that I really care, but you know, the other thing I used to kind of like have a little ongoing thing with Dwayne. Like, you know, as long as I got more followers than Dwayne, I'm cool. You know what I mean? That was always my little bar, you know what I mean? And me and Grossi used to always laugh about that a lot, you know, because even him with the love letters, just saying so, you know what I mean? It's like stratosphere, which I was super stoked for him, you know what I mean? But so anyway, I just had like these little things where like, I could just beat this guy. Like right now, like I want to beat Dressen. You know what I mean? Because me and Dress always skate, and I love that guy, and he loves, you know, we've done lots of cool stuff together through the years. So he's got like 80 and I have like 70 something right now, whatever. I mean, it's not that big a deal, but it's just kind of comical. You know what I mean? Like the whole Instagram.
It's like me and Navarrete always talk about, is life all about numbers?
It's about the ones.
That's exactly my point, man. Like, you know, like you're going to go have a meeting with some guy and you're trying to get like a new sponsor and all. Well, like how many numbers you got, Steve? How many likes? And you're like, no, but it's not about that. Like I got a 40, 50-year track record already. Like, come on, man, you're going to judge all this stuff off of this, you know? And so that's kind of comical, but
I mean, even with videos, like, is this video better than that video just because it got more views? Like, do we not even like judge like what is good and what's not good? Or do we just look at a number?
Yeah,
like that's what kills me. Like if you, like I make videos all the time and then you put it on YouTube and the numbers are underneath it. It's like however many views and you're like, oh, this one hit 1 million. For some reason, this one only hit 200,000, but that one was kind of better.
Yeah.
I thought, you know, but this one gets the accolades because it was 1 million. And then my brain goes back to the old school thinking, which is like, wait, we never cared about being popular. Like Instagram's the complete opposite of what skateboarding was for us. We did not give a fuck about who accepted us. We were actually doing it because we weren't accepted.
Exactly.
So like the whole mentality like is such a head fuck.
Yeah. You know, everything's changed. World's flipped upside down.
Yeah, it is. But that's one reason, you know, and that's one reason I'm super hyped to be with you today. Because, like, I mean, you've been in High Speed forever, and I love all the people there. You guys know how much I loved all you guys there. And I try to do everything in my book to always support Thrasher and the Vitellos and yourself and Jake and Tony and everybody. I mean, you know, there's so many more people. I'm not, you know, just because there's so many people there. But I just, you know, you guys have always stuck to you guys no matter what the fucking people are going to say. And no matter, like, if people say, oh, that guy's got a Thrasher sweatshirt and he's not skating. That's not your fault. That's the fashion magazine's fault that their kids are going to do that. And so hey man, you're going to sell more fucking t-shirts. That's cool. And then that's, for that matter, you're going to get the message out there more. It's going to get Thrasher out to the masses more. So dude, that's fucking badass any way you look at it. But again, it's just like, I love Thrasher and I love working with you guys because you guys don't give a fuck. You guys always do what you want to do. You didn't play by anybody's rules. You played by your rules. And that's about skating. It's about playing by our rules. And in today's world, it's kind of hard to play by our rules now because there's so many kind of things changing in the landscape all the time. You know, certain things that were cool, say 20 years ago, even 7 years ago, might not be cool in today's world. So it just depends. You got to kind of step lightly here and there. And you just got to be kind of cognizant of what's going on and all that kind of good stuff. But again, you know, it's just a matter of just being positive, putting a good message out there, you know, trying to keep people stoked.
Provoking the stoke.
Keep people, you know, keep their smiles on. Hey, anybody ever wants to ask me for like an autograph or a photo, I always indulge. I always do that, you know. There's maybe a couple of dudes I don't really like. I'll be honest, here and there that bother me here and there, and you know who they are. And I know, you know, but other than that, dude, I'm pretty fucking cool like that. You know what I mean? That's why I always like to skate, because we made up our own rules. We didn't have to deal with all the other stuff, and I didn't have to count on 9 other guys on my team if they weren't playing the way I thought I could play, and then you know, have a bad team. And everything's on me today, man. It ain't on them. It's like if I fuck up today, it's on me. You know what I mean? So that's what's cool about skating too. But the skaters, man, it's like all of us who skate have a lot of determination, and a lot of us have a lot of tenacity, because just doing and repeating until you dial it in.
Right. And
then when you dial it in, it's like, that's the best feeling in the world. And you go, why was that so fucking hard? I just spent 3 hours trying to do this one little line. And like, you know what I mean? But again, like some days skating it comes to you like this, and it's just like you have it. And some days you struggle and can't do nothing.
Right.
And it's just, you know, is that the mindset of the balance of you through the universe and all that kind of stuff with the two? Are you out of whack? Are you not in tune with what's going on? And so there's just so many kind of things about that. But you know, that's why I think skating is so special in today's world. And it's just always been special the way I look at it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, what year did you meet Fausto?
I met Fausto probably early 78.
78.
Like right during the Hester series. You know, we did Hester series 1. I got Spring Valley. Hester series 2 was at Pipeline. And Fausto was already in the scene already with Novak. And Novak didn't go. He went to the contests a little bit back in those days, but the guy who went more was Jay Sherman. Like Jay Sherman was like Novak's Fausto then, basically. He kind of came to the contest, got sponsored, gave him gear, that kind of thing. They had a team manager too. But it was through Olsen and Blackheart that I actually heard about Fausto.
Okay. Because
Blackheart had told me that he'd been riding these new trucks that this guy in the city had been making. And Olsen had told me the same thing. There's this guy up in San Francisco that's working with Novak that's making these new trucks, and they turn better than Bennett's, and they're stronger. They're stronger than Bennett's, but they're strong on track, and they don't really break. And I'm like, whoa! Like, I kept hearing these rumors of this, like these new independent trucks, so to speak. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the first ones I actually tried weren't the trucks that actually Olsen and Blackheart were riding. They were suspension trucks. So the first trucks I ever tried was independent suspension trucks.
Okay.
They worked good too. They did. They turned really good.
Those are the ones they have in the museum, right?
Yeah, but they were kind of heavy. So they were kind of awkward to they turned like really good. And then I go, well, do you have any, what about those trucks that Olsen's riding? And he just kind of like, you know what I mean? And then, so that's all I heard about. So when Winchester happens, we go up there. It's the third contest, and I go up there with Dunlap. And I forget. I think I was with Pineapple. I think I was riding for GNS for the contest, and I think I was up there with the GNS dudes maybe. But anyhow, we're practicing it, and Fausto walks up to me, him and Eric, and they have this box. And in the box, I didn't know this trucks, right? And it's like there's only like maybe 10 sets in there, all brand new, just perfect. Like it just this Ermico box. It said Ermico, and I'm like, what the fuck's Ermico?
Yeah.
And then, so hey man, we hear about you. Like Fausto's real gruff. He's got his beard. You know, they're real greasy. They got Levi's and like these kind of greasy jackets, and their fingers are all greasy, and their fingernails are greasy from working on machinery and whatever. So hey man, I heard all about you, Alba. It was Alba. He called me Alba. So I was like, hey man, would you want to try these trucks out? I go, are those trucks Olson's talking about? So yeah, Olson told me about you. And I'm all like, yeah, I'd like to try these trucks, but I go, I had this kind of nightmare setup. I had like a lip slide bar on my board, like Stacy Peralta, you know what I mean? And I'm all like, and I was a freak even then. My board didn't roll straight. I got fucking freaked out. So like, as long as my board rolls straight and you guys put it together and make it all, I'll try. So they took my board away, and I was just kind of watching around the corner what they're doing. They put my shit on, and I remember Eric kind of pushed my board to make sure it rolled straight, and they kind of were messing with that. And you know, Fausto was like, "Here, man." He comes back over and he's got my board like on the ground. And he like kicks it to me, like so my board like rolls to me, right? And it's like kind of like, but I just roll straight. And I go, "Wow, it's rolling straight." I go, "Wow, you guys got to go straight, cool." So I remember I go in the pool, and I remember my first ride. We were trying to do I really liked Wally Inouye too, because Wally was one of my favorite guys back in those days. And he was like the rad carver. So he can kind of carve backside and then go frontside figure eight. He was the only guy I ever saw do that in the old days, basically. And then I had to, dude, this is sick. I got to do that. So I started learning I started copying him. And then some of the other guys like also could do figure eights. Some of the better guys could do figure eight, but not too many guys. There was only like 3 or 4 of us that actually could do it. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm talking like a backside carve all the way to frontside carve to back. I mean, dude, even in today's world, it's fucking hard still. It is. But anyhow, I could do it, man. Mm. And like, I'm like, dude, I got this biggest smile on my face. I came out of the bowl. I just did a figure eight. Wow! I was like sold right there on the spot because like I turned so good. I couldn't believe it. And so the funniest thing is to this day is one of those things is I always do like these big sweeping backside carves. And then all of a sudden, I'll just go front side, whether it's a carve or a front side grind or a front side lean tail side, whatever. That comes back from those days of those figure eight carves. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then once we got up on Skype, when they made the combi pool, and you know, I'm gonna ride this combi pool for the first time. Like, I just thinking like, I gotta kind of figure eight in this thing. But I rode the square pool. I for some reason I dropped in the square pool. I just right into it, man. I just did a corner carve. I just naturally went front side of that wall, like where that, you know, that got the shot with the famous edger shot. That was like the same kind of trip, but it's like, you know, you kind of go back side and you just kind of top out, then you look at the ground for a second, and then all of a sudden you look up and you go on the front side. So that started all the way back in Newark with Indy. So that's like when Fausto and those guys did that. And after that, after the contest, I didn't do that good in the contest. I got 13th. I think I fell. I did good in the one wheelers, and they always had side events back those too. They had like longest carve, one wheelers, highest air, that kind of shit. And I generally did pretty good on the side events. But after the contest, you know, Fausto said, "Hey, you know, we really like you and we really want you to ride our trucks." So like it was Blackheart. So the whole story goes was Olson first or Blackheart first? There's that, you know what I mean? Yeah. Blackheart's gonna say he did it. Olson's gonna say he did it. Now, I don't know how to kind of inject my end of that story. I mean, I was the third guy in the team for sure. I mean, that's we all know that. But whether Blackheart was or Olson was the first or second, I mean, they had the first or second, but whether, you know, what the order is, hard to say, you know what I mean?
Well, Blackheart says he was the guy that designed the truck, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. So, and then Olson was a test pilot for Santa Cruz back in those days too. So he was very, even though he maybe didn't design like Rick did, but he was very involved in like writing it and testing it and the prototypes and stuff. So, but we all kind of rode them all, and I loved Indies. I ride Indies to this day. You know what I mean? I got this on my arm. It ain't going nowhere. I still love that shit, you know?
Yeah.
Got my Indy logo and Mr. V on there. And yeah, so, I mean, the ties go back, way back. So, you know, just to Fausto back in those days. And for some weird reason, he kind of took this little shitty-ass kid from San Bernardino or San Gabriel Valley under his wing and tried to kind of, like, this is what we need to do to kind of get you guys going. And I kind of took his advice a lot. And, you know, and the cool thing about Fausto, man, is he was always there at the contests, you know, and a lot of the guys. What's
so, like, so much respect seeing like those early contests, and then like the photos. I'm always like, where's Fausto? He's in the background somewhere. It's
I mean, and that part's really cool. Like my mom really helped out a lot in those days too. My dad was a timer a lot at the contest. Oh shit! The first 2 tests this year, so he's on top of the deck too. But those guys, like the guys who actually helped put it together, you know, like Fausto and Henry Hester and some of the manufacturers back in those days, like Novak and Sherman, You know, the guys from like GNS, like Dave McIntyre, like all those little people back there. Hunter Jocelyn was another big guy back in those days. It doesn't get credit. Curtis Hesselgrave. A lot of these 70s names that the kids nowadays don't even know. They've never heard of. That were the guys that kind of helped put the contest on it and helped get the formatting. And Curtis Hesselgrave was a very integral, big, important part to that. You know what I mean? And then through Curtis, he kind of like worked for Castor and some of the guys down south. And then that's how kind of like Stropel and Wally kind of like knew him really well. And actually Stropel and Wally actually moved in with him at one point in Del Mar when he was on Sims. And then that's how he got on Castor. So that whole story is a really crazy story too. And there's just so much kind of cool history back in the old days that the kids just don't know about, that just helped pave the way for today. And all these old skaters like, you know, Wally Inouye and Chris Stropel.
Shout out.
Rick Blackheart, Steve Olson.
Shout out.
Steve Cathy, Doug Pineapple Saladino, Howard Hood.
Shout
big
out.
Guy. Lonnie Hiramoto's another big guy in those days. Scott Dunlap was another big guy in those days. Tay Hunt. You know,
Shout
there's
out.
so many names back in those days of the 70s guys that really helped put forth outside of the Dogtown guys. You know, I'm not trying to knock the Dogtown guys. They were super famous in that era, and they were like the guys that kind of helped put it on the map too. But there was more to skateboarding than just the Dogtown guys at that time. You know what I mean? There was all kinds of pockets of skateboarding that had guys just as good as them, if not better than them, our group included. You know what I mean?
Was there really, like, did the media dramatize the beef between the Valley and Dogtown, or was it pretty, like, was it what it, like, how documented it is?
No, it was definitely, the vibe was there for sure. And, you know, and I think the media kind of took it even more to the point where, like, you know, it was like Dogtown against the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, that's just Craig Stessic's fucking genius, to just be honest. You know? And to be honest, there is no Dogtown without Craig Stessic.
Right.
Straight up. And that's the way I look at it. Without him taking those photos and making those magazines and getting the stories in the magazines and writing the stories in the first place, I mean, there is no Dogtown image. And as far as I'm concerned, hey, the skaters are rad. There's no denying all the skaters were rad. What they did, there's no denying it. And they did put an integral stamp on skateboarding and surfing. But again, Craig Stessic is so important to that story. And a lot of times Craig, I mean, the older guys know what's up. A lot of guys, it's all Jeff Ho and Tony and Skip. But man, dude, Craig was way a big part of that, man. And Craig to this day, I mean, you know, he did all the stuff with Fausto back in those days too. And he did all the stuff with Powell. And then he did all the stuff with Hurley. I mean, Craig is like, when you really look at the trajectory of Craig Stessic, the guy is just like, whoa, like monster gnarliness.
I think he created Skate and Destroy, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, exactly. He's the guy who came for Skate and Destroy. And then basically when the magazine first started and they needed people to start writing, you know, Mofo was one of the first writers. And Craig really encouraged him. And then, you know, Mofo and Fausto said, Steve, you need to start writing. And I'll be the first guy to admit that Craig and Mofo were the first guys to really inspire me.
Right.
I mean, I would look at what Craig did and go like, how can I do what Craig does and put it in my style, in my way? So, and I really enjoyed writing for the magazine in those days. I mean, I still like writing a lot. I just haven't done it lately because I've been just doing other things. I've been doing more art and just trying to keep healthy and skating and playing lots of music.
Yeah.
You know, whether creativity is creative, you know, I look at it that way, but I can't just keep doing just one thing, except for skateboarding.
Yeah.
Because I get bored.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I always have to change up from even if I'm doing watercolors, I can do watercolors for 6 months, and then I do stencils for 9 months, and then, you know, I'll do like iPad drawings for a while, and then I'll just like sketch for a little bit.
People figure out what they like. They don't know why.
Okay.
But I'll be honest, like lately I haven't been too artistically motivated. I have lots of crazy ideas I've been working on doing that. And I keep making my little stickers and this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so I've been doing like all my little Salvatore stickers for my boards and stuff like that.
So did you create that guy or did Phillips create that guy?
I created this dude. Yeah. So that guy, where it goes, I actually came up with that idea.
Oh, okay.
And then drew it up first, and then Phillips kind of redrew it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So what's this? And that guy right here, that's a tattoo, which is right here.
Oh, sick.
That's where it first started from. You know what I mean? So that's where the whole idea started from my arm.
Oh, right.
So the funny thing is back in high school, I used to draw like these little voodoo characters. And my family, they always said that we've been Indian and Mexican and Spanish. And, they've said that for years. And so when I was a kid, I used to really like Kachina dolls a lot. I was like just fascinated with those things, man. And the Kachina dolls are more or less Navajo and, Tri-State Southwest. And then for school projects, they used to have us make these Kachina dolls. And I made a badass Kachina doll as a kid. Like I had a balsa wood. I still had it. But anyhow, that was, I think, my fascination with witch doctors originally. A witch doctor can like heal people, or in the Native Americans, especially in the South, like they're like the skinwalkers, where they can change from like a person to an animal kind of thing. And then the Indian myth was just super gnarly, like you become a coyote or become like a puma, and that kind of magical kind of stuff, which I think is kind of cool. Especially when I was younger, I really was like into that kind of stuff. Like, this is sick, you know what I mean? And it's almost like I was brought up Catholic, but I just fought against being religious my whole life. You know what I mean? So like, I was so scared of that. I'm going to go to hell one day, And so that's kind of where the whole witch doctor thing kind of came into play. And originally, that's why I started drawing them in high school. I drew my T-shirts. And then I finally actually sat down and go, I'm going to get a tattoo of this. Mm-hmm. And then kind of drew it up. And I went to Spotlight Tattoo in LA, Hollywood, and Bob Roberts had a studio, Spotlight Tattoos, and Bob Roberts was there. And I showed it to him. He's all, man, and this is right when the kind of tribal things started to take off too. He's all, man, that's pretty tribal. That's cool. I like that, man. But I had him kind of standing. He kind of made it more of a moving thing. So he kind of put the leg up. So that was his kind of idea. And so ever since that, I go, man, okay, now I got to take this tattoo and make it into something bigger.
Right.
And so that's when I kind of came up with the whole like girl in the pot, and the voodoo guys around her, kind of like just like just raging around with the fire and that whole thing. I always like 50s horror movies and 60s horror movies and like all those old kind of Frankenstein and Creature from the Black Lagoon. And so all that shit was right up my alley, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of drew it up. I tried to do my best. And then funny thing, I gave it to Lucero. A lot of people don't know this. So Lucero was the guy that came up with the Salba lettering.
Oh, yeah.
And I also want to say he's the guy that created like the little rays out of the pot. That was his idea too, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I did that. I think that was John's idea. But then John was so busy doing stuff for Smith Sticks at the time and his brand that he couldn't finish it. So, Steve, I just don't have the time to finish it, man. And he gave it back to me. So I redrew it one more time, and then I took it to Phillips. And in those days, that's when we kind of would meet Phillips in his little art studio and go in there. And let's face it, Jim Phillips is amazing too. There's no denying. I always thought his skateboard graphics were rad, but I think Phil's stuff even outside of skateboard graphics were even radder. And a lot of people don't know that he hung out with Griffin a lot too, like Rick Griffin. They were kind of buddies back in the old days, and that's where the kind of the eyeball comes from. And there's always like that thing too, that Phil's come with the eyeball first and Griffin come with the eyeball first. So there's always that kind of discussion.
Right.
But that's the kind of rad parallel that those guys were working together and knew each other back in those days. So that's why I was more struck with like Phillips more than the graphics. I knew he worked with that guy and did all the surf stuff. So I was like, man, this guy's fucking badass. I can kind of like do something with him. Fuck yeah. So I kind of go up there, and then he kind of saw my idea, but then he, every good artist is going to change something and make it kind of their own. So he took some of the meaning out of the heart, because the heart was like a chalk drawing. It was, I don't know how you say it in French, but it's called VEVE. I'm not sure if it's Veve or Vivi, or I'm not sure you pronounce it, but all the voodoo ceremonies, when they ever have a ceremony, they always make all these chalk drawings on the ground first. It's kind of like the Catholics used to do that a lot too, back in the Mexico and stuff in the old days. So it's very kind of similar, where they've taken like Catholic gods and Christian gods and their own kind of God and kind of transform it all and make their own thing.
Right.
So I was, at that point, I was like, oh man, well, he kind of took some of the meaning out, but I was wearing my eyeball earrings a lot back then. So she put the eyeball earrings in there. It was me. It was still cool. So I go, that's cool. I'll live with that. But now when I did this sticker, I put the heart like it was supposed to be. Like the chalk drawing.
Okay.
So I just, I recreated a couple of these things like from my stencil boards lately. It's like variations of a theme, I call it. And so I just kind of just do a little bit different outlook on my original artwork.
That's cool.
I'm not doing it from Phillips's artwork. I mean, that would be blasphemy, and I just feel that would be wrong. So I did it from I took all of my new shit from my original pencil drawings, which I still have. Yeah, I was going to sell them. Some guy offered me $5,000 for it before.
Are you just that type of guy that in the beginning of time, you kind of had a sense like, I'm going to hold on to everything?
Well, no, to be honest with you, I've been offered money for that thing many times. And some guy offered me $5,000 for it within the last year and a half. But I didn't do it.
Yeah, I might have thrown it away is what I'm saying.
The main reason that I didn't do it, to be honest with you, is because no one ever believed I did it. That's why I was kept it. Phillips did a lot of stuff for a lot of people, and what happened was a lot of people he would meet in his studio, and the people would kind of give him art directions, say, this is what I kind of want you to do. You know what I mean? So, and the people who were better at the art direction, in my opinion, were the better guys who got the better graphics. So the more you could tell him what you want in it, the more detail, as opposed to just letting him draw one. Okay, so for instance, the Roscott eyeball. That's completely iconic. There's no denying it. It's just fucking badass, but it's just so simple. It's just a target.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And then eventually the arm comes to the target, and eventually turns into this crazy thing like 3 or 4 sessions later, which that cool. The progression's cool.
Yeah.
But again, is that graphic going to be, say, as rad as a Salba graphic or say rad as a Grosso graphic? And that's what I'm trying to get at. Now, in my opinion, they're badass, but in my opinion, no. I think my graphics better. I think Grosso's graphics are better. Right. I know Jeff did a lot of stuff with his graphics too back in those days, art directed things, you know what I mean? So looking back, like you got Klaus with the clock, you got Roscoe with the target, you got Corey with the skull, you got Kendall with the moon and like the big earth and the kind of, so everybody kind of had their own little look, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which was kind of rad within that little kind of subgroup. Just like within the little PAL subgroup, you got like, Cab, you got like Tony, you got like Lance, you got like Tommy Guerrero.
Yapple Dapple.
That whole kind of subgroup. So with these kind of those little groups, even envision, with their little thing, and Schmit Stick, because those were the 3 big companies back in the old days, you know what I mean? And again, it's like how do all those graphics still last to this day because they're so iconic. Even Hossoi's graphics, you know what I mean? So that's just what you're saying, like as far as like all the old 80s guys and 70s guys that are still around, like, whether it's the persona, whether it's the graphic, whatever, but there's something special about that that's still special today. And I think for me, it's this cool thing. I can see like a guy my age who still skates, but then he's got his 20-year-old kid or his 15-year-old kid in high school still, and they're skating with dad now. And dad's kind of, like, here, you got to like check out Salba, you got to check out Lance, you got to check out Soy, you got to check out all these dudes first before you start checking out like Cardiel, before you start checking out like a Ben Rayborn, before you start checking out a Kowalski, before you start checking out a Tristan Rennie, that kind of thing. So there's that little progression too, which I think is kind of cool. You know what I mean? And, like you got to check out Cat, you got to check out Tony Hawk, you got to check out, so depending what camp and school you're in, there's going to be your PAL guys, there's going to be your Santa Cruz guys, there's going to be your Vision dudes. But then after that, then there's going to be your Spitfire guys.
Shout
Spitfire
out.
was one of the first companies that they made up north, to kind of like before Thinking, before some of the Real, before some of that, before Anti-Hero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was
so,
Thunder and Spitfire, right?
Yeah. So all that kind of stuff that came around first. So, and I still ride Spitfires to this day, which again, that's another tie to San Francisco. You know what I mean? So I've had a lot of ties with San Francisco through the years. We used to come out there and watch all the punk rock bands with Mo and KT and Fausto and Gwen. I mean, Fausto and Gwen got us to take us to see the Clash originally. That's at Kezar Pavilion that we all went to.
Because she was working for the city, right?
Yeah, that's when she was still working for Feinstein. You know what I mean? So
Feinstein, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, just that whole thing is just crazy too. Just all that Gwen was in there working for the mayor and all of it. It's just like, wow, it's just such a crazy ass circle that, and yeah, man, it's just so crazy to think of all the good times and fun times and all the rad times back in those days. There's photos of Fausto and Gwen at my house at the upland contest where I hit my head open right here. I got 98 stitches at the second Hester series. And I have this photo of me and my dad. I think it's in the book, in the indie book, I think, where I'm laying on the bed and my dad's putting like a sticker on, like fixing the band-aid on my head, and Gwen's sitting right next to him and shit, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just all that kind of classic shit, you know what I mean? Where like, it's just, you see these photos and all of a sudden just brings you back to that time period, like 40 some years ago, like boom, you know what I mean? And yeah, so that's,
Were you and your brother living up in SF for a while, or just kind of couch surfing and staying up here a lot, or what was the deal? It seemed like you were in SF a bunch.
I used to couch surf a lot. No, Mickey actually moved up there for a while and was living there for a while.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So he actually lived in the city, I'm thinking, what, like 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, maybe even going on 3 years, maybe. It was like a good 2.5 year, maybe a year and a half, 2 for sure. That's when they were skating the Hunters Point ramp and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the first ramps and all that. That's, yeah, all those old crazy times, man. It's just crazy. Then we go skate Joe Lopes ramp. We first met Felper. He had the ramp over in Oakland in the warehouse over there.
Everybody's all, hey.
And so we would kind of go skate that. And I remember just going to his warehouse and just hanging out with him and skating and going on top of the roof and smoking some weed and drinking some beer or whatever, just like looking at the lights and that, man, this is fucking cool, man. Like you got your own ramp, you got your own warehouse, you can make your own music. Like, dude, what this is the life. You know what I mean? So I was always super intrigued with like the warehouse life and how people just move in and just do your thing and make your own world and make your own scene. And that's one thing about San Francisco I thought was always cool too, and Thrasher for that matter, and all the people up there, they made their own scene, man.
The Thunderdome, you know, that Mad Max.
To this day, it's like it was one of the best scenes in the world still. Like, you know, where are you going to go if you want to go street skate? You go to New York City, you go to San Francisco, you go to LA. Those are probably the 3 main raddest spots to skate with the raddest people. There's no saying you can't go skate in Florida and Europe and some of that stuff too. But I mean, in this face, it's still the top guys and those top spots are still going to be those places, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So that's where the best street skating happens, you know?
Well, from your recollection, how does Thrasher start? Because I've heard a couple of stories. I've heard who maybe sketched the logo. I've heard like there was this thought and people were seeing it before it came out. Like, I definitely remember talking to Fausto about it and having him talk to us about it. And I remember when Skateboarder took a poo and Action Now took a poo. You know what I mean? That was like, yeah, because skateboarding kind of crashed 79, right? Right before.
Yeah, I think it's 79 skate, like 79, maybe 80. Skateboard was 80 tops, but after that it was done. And then that's when it went Action Now. Like late 80, even maybe 81. 81 for sure was Action Now. You know what I mean?
Does it seem like a bad idea to start a skateboard mag right then?
I don't know, because I thought personally it was kind of cool that they were going to do that, you know, because number one, all the other skateboard magazines kind of folded. And so they needed a platform to not only show their product, but to show their riders. Even though when we were kids, we don't think about it that way. Yeah. This is like in hindsight, you know. Even then, like, hey, you know, we're gonna make our own mag. We're gonna put you in it. And what? Like, what? You're gonna make your own magazine? Yeah. And then like there was rumors that, you know, somehow Novak was gonna give some money to Fausto or lend him a loan or whatever to start it. And then Fausto kind of like, you know, I remember them tossing around names. And then I remember meeting with like Fausto and Eric and like, because at that point, KT and Eric were living together. And I want to say Mofa was living with them also. I think they all had a place over in Daly City. I'm almost positive that's where it was. I know it's where it was. Either KT moved out and it was Mo and Eric for a while, but I used to stay there a lot. I used to stay in the front couch with those guys a lot.
Rad.
Like a lot, you know what I mean? So just hanging out with those 3 alone just was fucking more classic than, I mean, hey, Fausto in the mix too, but just when you're getting to hang out with KT, Mofo, and fucking Eric in their own house after work, I mean, that was some of the raddest fucking shit ever, I'll be honest, you know what I mean?
I can't imagine.
And Eric was super, super rad. You know, a lot of people don't really give him enough credit too, in my opinion, for what he did and his part in this. And as much as Fausto was like the promo guy, Eric was like the behind the scenes guy, just making and tinkering and making all the stuff, making the molds, making the trucks, like figuring out how we make wheels, how to make skateboards. And he figured all that shit out. It's just skateboard manufacturing, whether people want to admit it or not, it's a pretty fascinating process. And it's just super cool to watch and it's super cool to participate in. And it's super cool to see and to smell it. I mean, I used to love walking in Ermico and just smelling the smells of like the urethane. And the steel and the burnt steel of the cast of the pouring. Watch out! Don't let this get on your feet. Whoa, that kind of shit.
Is that out at the shipyards?
Yeah, we're talking Hunters Point, dude.
I say what's up to my homies in Hunters Point.
You know what I mean? Back in the old days, you know what I mean? Like Hunters Point before, like they moved everything. And Hunters Point was like crazy back in those days. And then you find out years later that like it had like nuclear waste underneath it, and that's why they probably got the building so cheap and blah blah blah. Hunters Point was gnarly. I'm not. Did you know that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so like they bought all the ships that they put in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Used for the nuclear test.
That's why there's not nice housing out there yet. They're still trying to dig up like the mercury
they brought all those
or weird
ships
shit
back and dismantled them in Hunters Point of all that radioactivity and all that crazy shit. So like anybody who was in those days who worked there, I was like, I always wondered like, whoa, like what's can happen maybe one of these days. But anyhow, it was just kind of cool to see all that stuff. The magazine was there, the manufacturing was there. It was a golden part of skateboarding, man. You know, it was such a different time from now because everything's so corporate now and everything's so run by the books now. And in those days, I mean, there was books, but like you didn't give a fuck about the books, man. Like, hey, man, we're gonna go to lunch. Steve needs $500 for this photo you got in Mac. Here, Olsen needs money. Blah blah blah. Dwayne needs money. You know, we're gonna go on a trip, man. Let's go skate this thing, and we're gonna fly here. That kind of thing. So that the early days of skating, that shit was beautiful. It was, It was just such a different era.
Well, there was less. You didn't need to do as much, right?
Yeah, I mean, you had to plan still. I mean, you had a business. You still had to make money. You still had to make revenue to keep it all going and everything. But, the thing is now, thinking back all these years, is to see Thrasher made from the beginning, see Independent made from the beginning, see Spitfire made from the beginning, see all these companies made from the beginning and see how they start and how all the process goes into it. And it's just like, and knowing that you're part of that process here and there too is kind of cool. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, that's really a nice kind of thing. Again, it's like, why is some kind of kid from San Gabriel Valley so welcome in San Francisco? You know what I mean? So, and even in Santa Cruz, it's like, wow, like, they kind of like accepted kind of who we were, what we did. And so, yeah, that part's cool. You know what I mean? I like that about skating.
Do you think, is Dwayne credited for suggesting the name Thrasher?
I don't know if he really gets credit for that. He doesn't, I don't think. I mean, we all know he kind of came up with that. I mean, they were just, I forget some of the words they were using for it. You know what I mean? I'm sure some people have a better recollection than me of some of the other letters and words they were going to use for that. But I remember Dwayne at some point saying, like, I remember like we were talking one night. He's like, we thrashed it up the other day at this pool or something along those lines or something. And then Fausto was like, what did you just say? And I remember we thrashed it up or something along, something, not exact, but something like that. You know what I mean? And then, it'd be cool to be a thrasher or something like that. And then Fausto just like, dude, that's it. I know it wasn't exactly like that, but that's kind of how it happened. Like one night we were all kind of just sitting around and kind of dinner and all that kind of. And then to be honest with you, I don't even know if I was even there the night that they actually did this, but I just know they had been talking about it, and because we were all kind of hanging out a lot back in those days, and there was a lot of interaction between all of us back in those days. To be honest with you, between Fausto, myself, Olsen, Blackheart, Dwayne, all the team. But I mean, we were kind of like the guys after a while. Like it was like, especially like it was like Olsen, Salba, Dwayne, kind of like Santa Cruz taking on the world of cab and some of the other guys and the robots, so to speak, Alguera, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like as the Hester contest in the Colton, I remember, I forget who fucking had it. Someone built like a robot as a joke for the Fairbots. I remember Fausto like driving this little robot around with like a little controller, like, and they just are like, that's kind of how the whole Veribot thing started. You know what I mean? And they were just so fucking mad, but it was just good fun. It was like Boy Scouts, kind of like our Scouts better than your Boy Scout kind of troop kind of thing, more or less, even though you're not maybe looking at back in those days like that, you know what I mean? But,
yeah.
Sometimes, some of our friends would spit on Eddie, which looking back is kind of lame. Eddie's friends weren't spitting on us, you know what I mean? But sometimes people would throw shit in the bowls when they, so there was all that kind of vibe, which, it's kind of dumb on one hand, but it was just a sign of times back when we were kids, you know what I mean? Especially with punk rocks coming in and fuck all you fucking guys, fuck you hippies, and like, it's our scene, and like, it's our deal. And we were so adamant about that. And Fausto would just like reinforce it, kind of like it was like playing like, I don't know, like just playing games kind of too, like, fuck, come on, like riling us up kind of like, you know what I mean? Because he knew if we get riled up, we just skate better. The more riled up we got, the more we wanted to fucking perform and get rad. Like when you see Olsen like do the big canyon jump at Big O and Dwayne's underneath him, like that's like one of the sickest photos ever. And like you're just like, dude, I was there. I was part of that. It was cool. I was there. It's to see these things just brings you back to that time frame. You know what I mean?
Right. January 1981, first Thrasher comes out. For some reason, I don't really know this one, but they did 10 issues large format, I always trip out. Like, why didn't they just do the first year large format? Like, even if they thought like we're blowing it, we need to do it regular size or whatever the thought process was. But the first 10 come out large format. So it's always this weird when you got your whole collection, you got this one section that's just 10 issues of this different format. But what did you guys think when you saw it, when it all came out and stuff? And then also there's a loaded question, but like, I know the Chris Stropel cover was super controversial. SoCal dude on a NorCal mag. Like, just talk about that stuff.
How the hell do you know?
I always thought the Thrasher was rad, number one, because it was kind of, I mean, number one, you could hold it in your hand. I mean, that's rad. You can hold a magazine in your hand as you kind of thrums. That's killer. I like that to this day. There's nothing I like better is getting the Thrasher in the magazine in the mail, take it from the mailbox, going to the couch, and just flipping through it. I always look at the photos first. I was like, oh, dude, look at that. And then you start reading the stories, you know what I mean? And all that kind of thing. So I always look forward to that myself. And because I was a paper boy growing up, and I was delivered papers, and I would always read the paper in the morning. I still do this day. So for me, like, I like reading. I like something in front of me where I can kind of read it, as opposed to like this thing. I mean, this thing, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you can actually read it's like, yes, this is cool.
Right.
So the one thing that we didn't like is because it was all ink print, and you get the ink all over your fingers. Like, that was one of the first things we'd all complain. It's like the papers, like, we're getting ink all over our hands, and you like, and all of a sudden you got this black smudge. You know what I mean? So there was all that kind of, and there was always that was always kind of funny because like you always knew like if someone was reading the magazine, because they'd have smudge marks on their fingers or their faces or their shirt from wiping it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you could always tell like, you were reading the mag. Well, no, I wasn't. And they got like this black smile, you know, you knew. So that part was kind of cool too. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just thought Thrasher was bitching, you know, that number one, like these guys said they were going to do it and then they actually did it. That was another big thing. You like, you know, you hear so much talk of skateboard. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. And then a lot of that shit doesn't get done. So when shit actually gets done, it's like, dude, that's killer. You know what I mean? You cross the finish line. So now Stropel being on the cover, a lot of people up north were kind of bummed on that, so to speak, whatever. But let's face it, back in 81, man, Stropel was fucking king. You know what I mean? Even though Stropel wasn't like, say, doing well in the contest like some of us were, he already gave that up and said, fuck, I'm just going to skate. So looking back and even thinking that way, that, hey, you know, Stropel had maybe like a 3-year run in the pros, 77, 78, 79, 80. By 81, he's like, I'm already kind of, he's still skating. He's still killing, but like I'm over the contest now. You know what I mean? I just don't want to do it no more. That photo's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the first guy I ever saw do an air and a back air pull over a stair rail.
Wow.
Like the side rails. You know what I mean? He did it before I did it. And I mean, I did it pretty early too.
He might have done rock and rolls first too, right? Or board slide or something.
He did rock and roll board slides and Pineapple did rock and roll board slide before anybody. Both.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think Stropel was the first guy we saw do a board slide though too. And then Pineapple learned him even more, like longer. Stropel maybe did like 3 or 4 blocks, but the point is he was going so fast. Stropel tells me like after he's doing a basket air one day, he was going so fucking fast he didn't know what to do. He was going to do a rock and roll, he just slid it. Whoa, I slid. And then he actually did it. And then when he came in the pipeline and actually did it, I kind of think when I saw him do it somewhere. I'm going, what the fuck did you just do? That was rad. So, I mean, again, like, you know, some of these guys just don't get kind of credit for some of the rad shit they made up then. Now, as far as KT was concerned, as far as Mo was concerned, they knew how rad Stropel was. They spent time with him.
Right.
KT especially, not saying that Mo did take photos in those days too, but I think KT took photos before Mo did. But KT had a really good photographic eye, man. But again, that's just a fantastic shot, a fantastic cover. And, you know, I don't think really matters who's going to be on the first cover, so to speak, as far as was a North or a South guy. I mean, I don't think that should really play in anything. But I know some of the North guys got bummed because I know some of the Santa Cruz dudes thought that one of their Santa Cruz riders should be on the cover.
Right.
And I know that was kind of the controversy right there.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we're helping fund this magazine. We just gave you $30,000, so maybe one of our dudes should be on the cover. So there was that a little bit. Let's just be honest. That was definitely part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't like Dwayne or Olsen or somebody like one of your dudes kind of, but like maybe that's the mentality is we can't come out with something that's just all us. Like, we want it to appeal to everyone, not like, I don't know, who knows?
Yeah. And let's face it, then, a little bit right after that, then the other magazine gets made down south, and then it became more of a north-south kind of thing,
right?
Which I get all that, but when you really break it down, it's more advertising than anything. When you really want to get formal about it, you know what I mean?
Right.
Both magazines were pretty rad. Let's just be honest, they kept the flame going. But in my book, Thrasher was always more hardcore, more punk, so that's why I always for me, I always wanted to go to Thrasher first because number one, they were family, and number two, I liked their vision better. I always liked the vision, like, fuck you guys, I don't give a fuck. I'll be honest, I like that kind of shit. I shouldn't be that way, but that's just a punk rocker in me, man. And it's just like, I'm always going to fight for the little guy.
Right.
And I always thought Fausto and those guys, when they first kind of started with the little guys, coming up against all these giants in the industry, like Tracker and these guys who've been established already, who've been there for a while. And then the crazy thing is when you look at it now, when you think about the market shares back in those days that Thrasher and that Independent had, they had I want to say a 60% market share within 6 months, not 9 months, which is insane.
Wow.
I've always heard other rumors too, of like, somebody buying some Tracker trucks and putting them in a warehouse so they couldn't sell those also. I don't know if that's true or not. You know what I mean? There's so many crazy rumors like that about what's happened in the old days compared to now.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I wouldn't put it past them if that actually did happen. But, I think, number one is you had a good product, but you had good writers on that product and had good personalities. And you can sell a good product on a product alone, but when you have personalities and good writers writing it, and people see that even more and seeing what they're doing, that's going to stoke a whole nother trip out, you know what I mean? And a whole nother populace and more people and a whole nother genre of kids, so to speak, and all that kind of crap. So that's kind of good though,
Well, I trip on this, and this is pretty much a pat on your shoulder. But what's your story on this? Fausto, pretty much the godfather of skateboarding, and then you're his son's godfather.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Tony's born, what, 82 or something?
Yeah, he hey man, we're going to go get Tony, baptized and all that kind of good stuff. And you're going to be, and you're going to be, what? You were Catholic, right? And I go, well, I used to be, but I don't really remember that stuff. Just wing it, you know what I mean? So all that kind of good stuff. So that's another kind of crazy thing too. It's like, and at that point I was like super ill prepared. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? And as a dad now, I kind of understand a lot more now compared to then.
Yeah.
It's like I was just like kind of just thrown into this kind of like, whoa. On one hand, I always felt kind of guilty that I haven't always been there for Tony, like, because it's just it's far distance and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of we had a hard time kind of communicating at first, I guess, because it's just hard. It's like when every time I have a kid and someone who's so famous and he's so used to rolling with all his friends, then the kid kind of has to sit back a little bit and kind of take it all in and kind of, how do I fit into this whole thing a little bit? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I think Tony, man, he's a great kid. He's done a very good job of keeping the flame alive. And he's a hell of a skater too. I mean, a lot of people kind of would tell, oh, he's just Fausto's kid and all that bullshit too for the longest time. I used to hear a lot from so many fucking idiots, man. Just fuck you guys. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You know what I mean? Because Tony's a very grounded dude, man.
No, he's really skating every day and he puts in the work. Yeah. He doesn't have to. He does not have to put in the work. And
that's my point. He could have retired a long time ago, but you know why he does it? Because he fucking loves it just like we all do too.
Yeah, the passion.
And I applaud that Tony's like, fuck yeah, dude. Keeping the fucking flame going, man. Think about stepping those shoes, dude. How hard that's got to be in itself.
Yeah, and obviously he wasn't prepared. Like, his dad didn't see that coming. And it's all of a sudden, what do we do? I got to fucking take the bull and run. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
Way heavy. But yeah, I applaud him, man, for just fucking keeping going forward and keeping it positive, man. You know what I mean? And it's kind of cool because we used to go visit him back in the old days when Fausto was still alive, and I would take Jesse and And they had that little mini ramp in the backyard, and Jesse and Tony would start skating, and like just seeing that too in itself was like, wow, this is fucking awesome. I was psyched. I was kind of even more psyched than that Jesse and Tony kind of had like a little thing, just like, yeah, this is cool,
man. Mofo told a story about an early concert you guys went to where possibly slam dancing might have.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. And that's the night I was kind of talking about earlier, that Gwen got us all the tickets to go see that Clash show. Yeah, at Kezar Pavilion. So that was like 78, I believe.
Was it the Clash in Dead Kennedys or Devo?
Yeah, the Dead Kennedys and the Cramps.
Oh, the Cramps, right.
Yeah, so it was at Dead Kennedys, the Cramps opened up for the Clash. It was like,
fuck.
Dude, that was one of the most mind-blowing shows I've seen to this day. And to this day, the Cramps and the Clash and the Dead Kennedys are probably my 3 top 5 bands of all time.
Right.
I've seen them all, like at least. I mean, I've seen the Clash 4 times, if not 5 times. I've seen the Dead Kennedys back in the old days, at least, to be honest, probably 20 times. Wow. But I've seen the Cramps probably at least 10 times over the years, you know what I mean? But it all started that night. And so we all go, it's like, there's a lot of us. Like, I was there, Bowman was there. The funny thing, we were all there for the Winchester contest.
Oh, okay.
So we were all up there for a skateboard contest, and we got wind that these guys were going to play. And I was kind of asking, like, just how can we get these tickets? And then Gwen somehow finagled the tickets somehow. And I remember them taking, there was like 20 of us who went. Like Eric was there, Fausto was there, Gwen was there. And Gwen wore her like little shorts she always wear back in the old days, her sweater, right? To a punk rock show. And like I think she had her cowboy boots on. And then Alba was there with us, and Bowman and Olsen and me. God, I don't know if Dwayne was there though. I don't think Dwayne was at that one, to be honest.
He wasn't.
I don't remember him being that one. Maybe he was, but I don't think he was at that contest. I don't remember him being at that thing.
I'm pretty sure the story was mostly you, Olsen, and Mofo.
Yeah, but Olsen was there.
And Fausto and Gwen were there in attendance. Yeah.
Eric was there. But I remember like before the show started, the Sex Pistols came on the PA, and we wanted our whole fucking thing that night was we were going to get on the stage. No matter what it took. We were going to get on stage. We were going to get on stage. We were going to jump off the stage back into the crowd. We had already made a plan in the crowd that night. That's what we're going to do that night. And no matter what it takes, we're going to do that. It doesn't matter who gets in our way. What? We're going to destroy them. We're going to fight them to get on stage. So that's basically what we did. And that's how the whole slam dancing thing started, because we were so crazy about just seeing this. And at this point, we've seen punk bands already. We've seen a whole bunch of bands at this point. But, at this point too, like the Clash was one of the most important fucking players in punk rock outside of the Pistols, as far as the English guys were concerned. It wasn't like LA stuff like Black Flag, or it wasn't like X and some of the stuff we were already used to seeing. This is different, man. You know what I mean? So that's why we were so looking forward to it. We've heard this stuff on the radio. We heard it on our records. We heard it on our single we bought. So when you actually get to see these guys play live, like I think I'd already seen a Dead Kennedys and Mo once or twice right before the show. So I think I'd already seen the Kennedys, but I'd never seen the Cramps and the Clash at this point.
Fuck.
But anyhow, I just remember all of us just going crazy, like jumping on people, slamming into people, tackling people, just doing football shit we do in football.
Yeah.
And then like trying to, like, me and Mo and a couple guys are making like little human errors. We boost each other people up to get over the people. Then we just start crowd surfing over. We're trying to get to the stage, and people are getting so mad at us. They were trying to fight us because they just didn't understand what we were trying to do. You know what I mean? So that's why Mo, swears to this day that we made it all up that day.
Yeah.
Which I'll be honest with you, I agree with 100%. I had never seen anybody prior to this doing what we were doing. People were pogoing usually at these things. It's just more or less straight up and down kind of doing that shit.
Yeah.
But we were doing the full fucking skank, fucking like kicking, scratching, spitting, like just fucking fuck you. We're getting on stage. Get out of our way. Don't fucking get in our way. We're going to thrash you.
Right.
That kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Huh.
So that's why like the whole, like later on, like for the Skate Rod tapes, I did that song, Kings of Trash. One of the things is called Thrash It Up, Smash It Up, Trash It Up. And that came from that night. Cause I remember Mo or one of us like, gotta thrash, smash the shit. Like, cause the day that came out, they already had that song called Smash It Up. So we already kind of like used that as our moniker, so to speak. And we didn't even know what thrashing was, cause it wasn't really even there yet. But we knew what thrash was, you know what I mean? So it's just funny, thrash, smash, trash. All those words kind of rhymed, you know what I mean? So
that's a fucking epic story.
Just fuck you guys. We're gonna just smash it up. And I remember the dance song came out, Smash It Up. Then we went even more creative. Like, that's our Smash It Up. So, you know what I mean? I remember this one like lesbian chick was not stoked at me. I knocked her drink out of her hand, and she had like claws, like sharpened fingernails. She turned around and slashed me. Fucking, my head just got cut, and I'm like, "Fuck you, bitch!" And I slapped her in the fucking face. And then I remember this other guy just like coming and beating me up. And then Olsen and Alba, like it was just chaos. It didn't matter who you were, what you were, there was all kinds of people there. There was art people there.
Yeah.
There was gay people there that, we knew gay people back in those days. There was like black people there. Like there's all these just fucking freaks, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's a punk rock show, man. So you get in every walk of life out there who's going to see this punk show, whatever it's just, So then once we did that, then it was like, we're going to do this everywhere we go. So it was like the skateboarders basically kind of brought this whole thing forth. It wasn't like the punk rockers themselves. It was the skate punks that kind of did it. And then we started doing it at all the shows. And then all our skater friends kind of heard about what we were doing. And then they started kind of doing it too. And that's how the whole thing started. I remember we went to go see the Clash at Santa Monica Civic like a year later, the next summer in '79. And Jim Muir was there. I went with him, and I went with George Ballinger, who was the drummer of Christian Death. Like me and him went to high school together. We were on a football team together. And in the old Skateboarder magazines, there's that guy, the white rhino with a big white mohawk. That's George. So we would go to, me and him, my buddy Vince Dennis, who's in Body Count now. He used to, like, we always hung out back in the old days. So we all went to the show together, and we meet all the guys. We meet like TA, his brother Mark. We meet Jay and Jim Muir. We all go to these shows together and just cause chaos. You know what I mean? It's just the skaters again. There'd be like 20 skaters again, like fuck everybody. Like, this is our trip.
Right.
And then I remember Jim Muir was so big. He got up on the stage and he fought his way there, crowd surfed everybody. He went to do a flip off the stage, and the crowd circle moved right when he landed on the ground. His bam, just hit on his back, and it was like, we got to like drag him out. And just, I just remember all that kind of crazy shit when we were kids, man. It was fucking fun time, man. Just nuts, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Fuck. What do you think of all the skate? Like, you got Los Olvidados, Big Boys, Drunk Engines, JFA, all these skate rock bands that of all time. Which one do you kind of put up there as like the one of all time?
I don't know. I mean, for me, I like them all. I like all those bands. They're all good in their own right, for sure. But Big Boys are pretty sick for their time frame, because they were just so out there. And again, people don't put things in context anymore. So you got to think, like 79 in Texas. Yeah. It's 1980 in Texas. And then think about the big boys come out wearing women's clothing,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, in Texas, and then doing a tour like that, and then coming out, walking around like this, used to walk around like that all the time.
Yeah.
So when we saw him play in LA, they had a big skate rock show there. Mo and me went and saw the bands at the Hollywood Palladium. It was one of the best skate rock shows ever, if not the biggest skate rock show I've ever seen. At the Hollywood Palladium, dude.
Wow.
I mean, at the fucking Hollywood Palladium. It was amazing. So, like, you know, a lot of those bands played, like JFA played, Big Boys played. Mofo was taking photos, so I don't think Mofo played yet. I don't think he had his band yet, the Drunk Engines yet. That was shortly thereafter. You know what I mean? I think Los Olivitos played. I want to say the Faction played. A couple other that I forget who else, but along those kind of, you know, that kind of trip. And then it's like, wow, these guys are sick. But in my opinion, I still think JFA is one of the best ones. That's just me though, because I like JFA. I like Brian. He's been one of my favorite fucking friends forever. He used to work in the mag with you guys. So I mean, I've known Brian Brandon since fucking skating pipes with Brandon.
Right.
I skated pipes with Brandon before they even had the band. Well, they had the band a little bit too, but I just remember even back in those days, it was just go to Arizona. You go skate pipes all day, and you go watch JFA practice at night. So I got to see JFA play a lot because I was really good friends with all those guys. I used to go to the practices. I used to go see them play all over the place. So in my opinion, I'm just going to say JFA just because I spent so much time with them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The Facts is good too. I mean, all those other bands are good too. You know, and Chuck Treese, man, he's another guy I think is super sick.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Rad doesn't. They don't get enough credit either. In my book, Chuck Treese is a phenomenal player, whether it's good guitar, drums, bass. In my opinion, Chuck Treese is one of the best musicians, skate musicians, if not the best skate musician. In my book, you know what I mean?
For sure.
He's made a living at it. He makes a living at playing music. And let's be honest, like that's all of our dreams. I never got to make music my thing, like skating. I've always wanted to, but I've always wanted to skate more.
Right.
You know what I mean? I like skating is always first to me, but I still think JFA stands above the rest just for me and the big boys. I'd probably say those are my two favorite from that time frame. You know what I mean? Okay.
What about Upland? How many times did Hoffman ban you from Pipeline?
Wow, I got banned two or three times. I did spit on him before, which was kind of fucked.
Why?
I forget exactly why. It's just so stupid thinking about what I'd do, something like that. But yeah, and I was kind of kicked out of Pipeline from like say 83 to about 80, almost 86.
Really?
Almost
3 years.
Almost 3 years.
Wow.
And I was just like, half of it was just me just being an asshole, not going up and apologizing and just acknowledging I did something bad, wrong. I was such a little fucking punk in those days, man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Especially like, you know, 80, probably like 83 to 86. I was just a fucking nightmare. I was drinking a lot. That's probably my main thing. I was just drinking so much. I was never like a big coke dude. I never did that shit. I was just smoke weed and drink beer. But back in those days, I was like drinking like tequila and Jack Daniels. Was just like carrying a flask around in my fucking jacket like mofo all the time. Just like, you know, just being a fucking trying to be Bukowski, doing that kind of bullshit, stupid shit. Looking back, you know what I mean? Just burning the candle at both ends. And then I was skating a lot of pool still. That's all I was really skating at that point because I was playing in a lot of bands, trying to do my music thing. And that's when I was really into music a lot, trying to like, we had the flamethrowers going and in that time frame, we were like, you know, opening up for like Poison and opening up for like Guns N' Roses, that kind of shit, like in LA and like around my area. So we were almost kind of there.
Open for Guns N' Roses?
Yeah, not just when they first started though. You know what I mean?
That's
like
even cooler.
When they first started, before they're doing any kind of big tours yet, they're just doing like little club tours.
Yeah.
And again, like I didn't know those guys all that well, but the one guy in Guns N' Roses I did kind of stoke on, and I kind of talked to that he was stoked on us too was fucking Izzy because he skated too.
Stradlin, yeah,
because he knew who I was from skating, so that's the one we kind of clicked a little bit. Then he probably doesn't remember this shit nowadays, to be honest with you.
Oh, I think he's cooked,
this is like
right?
This is way back, like the Timbers, like in Glendora, we played with these guys, and the Green Door, and shit like that. You know what I mean? So, but we opened up for like X, we opened up for like Motorhead, Red Hot Chili Peppers, The Flamethrowers were pretty fucking rad. I'll be honest. They were a good band. They were powerful.
Huh.
They played some good style punk rock, almost kind of like New York, kind of Johnny Thunders, New York Dolls, T-Rexy kind of stuff.
Yep.
That a little bit, almost kind of like Tommy Guerrero's brother was kind of playing in the bands like that. A little Touch Me Hooker, a little bit, back in the same kind of trip, a little bit, kind of rock and roll, but a little bit of punk edge to it, still kind of like, So that was fun.
Olsen, what was Olsen's band?
Olsen had the Joneses.
Yeah, the Joneses.
Yeah, he was in the Joneses originally. So we used to play together a lot too back in those days. We used to play at the skate park in Pomona. And I think it was one of those shows that actually Grasso and Nash saw me when they did that little love letters with my black leather pants and my purple creepers. we were playing a show at the skate park one of those nights, and we showed up for that. I just took some runs and like jumped the channel, like with no pads, just my fucking leather pants and creepers, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
That's kind of shit we did back when we were kids, you know what I mean? But yeah, so we used to play with Olsen a lot. That's kind of how I met Todd Barnes and Ron Emery was from bands too. That's when they first made TSOL together, because Todd used to play drums for TSOL, but he used to skate Lakewood. And I was really good buddies with him. And just like I was really good buddies with Brent, we used to play Social Distortion back in the old days before Brent passed away. And again, it was a skateboard thing. Me and Brent used to skate pools a lot. You know what I mean? But getting back to it, like, the rock and roll thing, I was kind of getting sidetracked from that a little bit. And I was not skating skate parks at that point because I was kicked out of Pipeline. So I just skated pools and Baldy Pike. But then one day I went and talked to Stan, and I go, look, I'm so sorry I did what I did. I was wrong. And then the cool thing is Stan actually accepted my apology. And he kind of put his arm around me, and he kind of had like a little talk with me. And I always thought that was rad, because even though I had my pops, I always thought Stan was like my second dad.
Huh.
I mean, because he was always kind of like looking out for us, and always trying to give us advice. And he knew I had such an influence on all the kids. He was trying to always tell me, like, Steve, man, like, all these kids look up to you. You can't be an asshole. You can't be doing that shit anymore.
Right.
And so that's kind of like, I don't know, after Stan had us kind of talking to me, that's when I kind of started kind of like doing, okay, I got to kind of just be a little bit mellow, and, in a sense where like a kid's going to come talk to me, I can't be fucking being an asshole.
Mm.
I mean, or if a kid's, because sometimes you're a Pipeline, you're in a heated session, especially Pipeline days, we're on that mode. I was like so focused sometimes, and people would think I was being arrogant. And maybe I was a little bit here and there, but I wasn't really being arrogant. I was just being more focused. Like, you're in my way, let me do my thing. I just fucking, I'm the king of Pipeline. Get the fuck out of the way. That kind of stupid shit. You know what I mean? Where, Stan kind of made me realize that, you gotta, someone sends you a photo, or, wants you to sign it or take an autograph, or even better yet, if someone sends you something in the mail, like fan mail, you should answer that letter and, send them some stickers and that kind of thing. So my mom used to say that too. So I always thought, hey, anybody to this day that still sends me like a fan mail, or even on Instagram, like, hey, I'm still taking a trip, I was writing back something cool, or acknowledge them.
That's right.
Because I've just always felt that way. If someone's, let's put it this way, if someone's going out of their way to get a hold of you and you don't acknowledge them, that's kind of fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I felt that way myself. I mean, there's been plenty of times that you turn the boat around, where like me, I'm always like hitting people on Instagram, like musicians I like. And you never hear from them.
No.
Like, like Paul Mahler from the Slits. She's the guitar player. I wrote her one day, hey, I really liked you guys' music in the old days, and I know you played Mesa Boogies, but what kind of guitar? I asked those kind of questions, but they never write back. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, who the fuck's Steve Alba? Like, this fucking guy that's writing some fucking punk, you know what I mean? So it's the same kind of world.
I do that all the time.
I don't expect him to write back. I never do. But when people write me, I always try to write them back.
Well, there's two thoughts from me. I'm just like, either are they getting like a gazillion of those from everyone, like how many do they have to go through to get to mine? Or are they too cool for school and they just don't want to respond? Like, I never know what the real answer is.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
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 But
you never know till you actually meet people like that you look up to in real life. And then sometimes, you got to meet some guy and go, ooh, that guy was an asshole. Or some guy, you know what I mean? Like, I met Gene Simmons before. He was kind of rad. And I have to say, like, this is when I was working a show at the Palladium. And this is a long time ago too, you know what I mean? And I had a Kiss shirt on. That I had made like a bootleg Kiss shirt, and he was all stoked on that. And on the back of it, I had like all these fuck yous. right? And on the sleeve, I had like a "fuck you," I think too. And I forget what else. I had something else on there, but he saw the front, saw like, yeah. But then he turned around, saw the back, and he's like, what? He just like shook his head like he didn't understand. Like, fuck, you're a fucking kook. You know what I mean? So I didn't know. Like, I opened the door, I shook his hand, and he's like, yeah, cool shirt. And then I turned around, and he saw that they just shook his head and walked away. Like, who the fuck is this asshole? You know what I mean? So I just found out, just shit like that. You know what I mean? This comedy shit where like you're working a show and you see somebody where they come in a door, or like I was working at Palladium one night, and it was like the end of the night, and like we're putting everything away back in the trucks. And then Timothy Leary rolls up with Gary Busey.
This guy's got bud.
And like Timothy Leary, like, about that guy.
Yeah.
I do that fucking
Created
Tim
acid,
Leary.
right?
Dude, like, what the fuck are you doing here? Start talking to the guy, and then, we just got done doing our thing. So I had a big fucking joint. I just lit up a joint. And he's like, man, it smells good. I go, here, you want some? So smoked the joint with Tim Leary one night at the play. And that kind of stupid shit, you know what I mean? So that's just stupid shit like no one even really care about, but just like these little moments, I think, wow, that was cool. Right. Like one time Bowie was playing, and like I'm walking in behind stage, and I'm kind of getting, I come around this corner, and I literally walk into Bowie. Like we touch chest, like, oh, sorry, dude, I didn't mean to. Oh, and by the way, since I got you here, like, hey, can I ask you a question? And so I, asked him like one little question I wanted to know, and he answered my question, and that was cool, and he was nice, and sorry about bumping into you, and they walked away, and so that kind of shit, you know what I mean? So sometimes you can meet these dudes, and it's a cool interaction. Sometimes it's like, whoa, it just depends, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're all human too. We never know when someone's on a good one or a bad one.
Well, then that's my point. I mean, I understand. So like, I just know from my perspective that sometimes maybe you don't want to answer a fucking phone call, or maybe you don't want to take an autograph or take a photo or whatever. I get all that too. Sometimes you're having a bad day, or you're not in a good mood, or
you just slam.
Yeah. So yeah, I just took a slam. Fucking leave me alone.
What about the fuck? I forget that. I don't think it was Amarillo, but you and Jake went to Texas, skated a pipe.
Yeah, we went to San Angelo.
And that there was an article in the mag, right?
I wrote that big article how he got caught. Yeah, at that time frame.
And Jake got sucker punched in a bathroom years later. Some dude came up and punched him while he's taking a piss at the urinal. Because of that article, he was all pissed that you guys blew out his spot. I was like,
oh, wow. Radical.
And Jake comes out and his first words are, well, there's a first. Never got punched while I was holding my hog taking a piss.
No, that's kind of funny because looking back, we had our little pipe crew, which was like me and Farmer, Belmar, Royce, Bryce, Texas Dan, Rhino, and Preston.
Right.
We would always take these trips for like starting in 99, 2000. We probably went like for 6 summers. Every summer we go skate pipes. It was like our mission.
So cool.
And then this is prior to like P-Stone working in the mag.
Yeah.
Prior to Rhino doing all that stuff too.
Yeah, Luke probably was going, right?
Yeah, Luke was with Jake. Luke wasn't with us. I mean, he wasn't with us. He was with Jake. So anyhow, we're on one of our pipe trips, and we're in Colorado, Silverjack, and we're going in, and Jake shows up. He's got Hewitt with him. Got Luke. He's got Julian. God, who else he have? I know I'm missing a couple other guys.
Maybe Coco.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So anyhow, we were going on a raft. They just propelled in, which I thought was fucking dangerous.
That photo with him and Pete, right?
Yeah.
That's a sick photo.
So yeah, it's a sick photo. But dude, I'm thinking, man, you guys are nut jobs for fucking rappelling in that far, man. If you just would have fucking crashed, your session would be over. So anyhow, Jake, I just remember was like bummed because we were there or something. He was vibing as hard. All the other guys talking. Luke was talking. Peter was talking, but Jake was just fucking just vibing. And after they were like maybe a half hour, they left. And then then we didn't see it. And then we go to Amarillo later on, and we had heard that we got there like before they did, and then they, so every time we were kind of skating something, they would show up after us, and so we were just kind of, we got it first, fuck you, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then I finally find this pipe in San Angelo, and then we're gonna go on a mission together, me, Jake, Belmar, Blackheart, Luke, God, am I missing someone else? I think there's one more guy with us. So anyhow, we go out there and we go to Amarillo first. We had the sickest Amarillo session fucking ever. I mean, I'm dead serious. Like Hewitt and me and Belmar. I mean, Belmar was going pretty high, but I got to say, me and Hewitt were fucking blasting this one, man. It was like on. It wasn't that I was trying to outdo Hewitt or he was trying to outdo me. We were just stoked on each other's fucking trip.
Right.
You know what I mean? We were there on skate pikes. And dude, again, we had the sickest fucking session. And the thing is, I never even seen photos of that. I know Luke took photos from that session. I think there's a photo of Peter in there from Amarillo. But they didn't even really run any photos from Amarillo. We went to San Angelo. We drove to San Angelo after that, if I remember right. And then we pulled it for we were there for a good couple hours, if I remember right. But the pipe was really big. It was hard to skate. It was really rough. We weren't getting any good photos. I remember Phelps saying, man, we need to stay a little bit longer. And you know me, I was like, dude, we got to go. We've been here such and such time. And as far as we've never been here before. We're in Texas. We should go. And then the other thing is we went in by the raft again. But Luke had a whole bunch of gear and Jake had a big rope. And so Luke lowered the gear down on the rope. As we fucking got into the pipe, me and Belmar and the first crew, we would accept all of Luke's foot and put it on the ground so it wouldn't get broken. But they left the rope there, still in that position.
Oh.
So when we were skating, Carter Dennis was with us too. He was a Texas guy. He was our Texas connection on this one. And now I think about it, he was there. So it might have been Carter that maybe got Jake, maybe. One of the Texas guys, I'm sure, is the one that got Jake. But anyhow, Carter heard a car or a truck, and we can kind of see some dust coming on the road, above us. Oh shit. Fucking someone's here. And so I had kind of scouted it a little bit from some BMX dudes I knew. And then Carter kind of scouted a little bit from a competition. He already went there once and pulled it himself once. So we're thinking if Carter pulled it and the BMX just died, but we know there's a damn caretaker and he's the guy that caught us. So anyhow, I start talking to Dan Caretaker, and at first he's super mad. And then after about 15 minutes, I have him completely talked he's going to let us go. Everything's good. But Felper kept fucking slipping off. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And at one point, Blackheart kind of put his arm around Jake and tried to pull him away. And the guy was getting so irritated with Jake that he fucking called the fucking sheriff. And now the sheriff shows up. Okay. So now the sheriff's kind of trying to, this guy wants to press charges on us now, the damn caretaker. The sheriff really doesn't want to do it. He's like, man, these guys, you know how much worse this is going to be. And he's trying to talk the damn caretaker out of fucking pressing charges. But in the meantime, Jake keeps just fucking going off. Just talking shit. Right. And before all this kind of happened, we were hiding before the caretaker even got to us. And he didn't really know we were down there yet, but he saw the rope.
Oh, right.
And when he saw the rope, he started to pull the rope up and he starts looking around and he knew at that point someone was there. And we were still hiding at that point. And I had the keys for the van in my fucking pocket. And so I didn't want to give myself up. I was like, fuck, we're in Texas, man. And I knew it was going to happen in Texas. I'd been busted in Texas before, in Amarillo. So the whole time I'm thinking, man, we can't get busted right now. You know what I mean? And so one by one, they gave themselves up. And I was the last guy to give myself up. And I was hiding still. I mean, I didn't give myself up for almost an hour.
Oh.
And they knew someone else was there, but they couldn't know. And I was going to just let them arrest everybody else to take them away and to follow them in the van. But if that would have happened, they still would have known I was there anyhow. I would have still got caught anyhow, I'm thinking. So eventually I gave myself up too, to the damn caretaker. That's how the first started. So he was all mad because we were hiding from him in the first place. And then I went and talked to him and had him talked out of it. Jake starts talking shit, gets the guy all riled up. He calls the sheriff. Sheriff's here now. And now the sheriff's trying to tell the guy, man, there's 80 of these guys. There's 2 vans full. What are we, And so in the meantime, I've always wondered this. This is kind of this has been my question. And Jake's not here to ask this anymore, but was Jake lipping off just to get the story in the mag so he can get more fucking coverage possibly? I mean, I've often wondered that. But he kept lipping off. So we got arrested. And then we get taken to this police station in this weird place. We're in San Angelo. We're in the middle of fucking nowhere. We're in the middle of Texas, in bumfuck Texas. And we're in bush country, dude. This is a complete bush country right here. This is where George Bush, his whole family live in Middleton, Texas, which is like a half hour, 40 minutes from San
like
Angelo.
Arlington or something?
Yeah, not even Arlington. That's by Dallas. We're like in the middle of Texas, dude.
Okay.
In the fucking straight middle. And San Angelo is one of the biggest towns over there. But anyhow, then they take us to jail. One jail, they transfer us to this other jail. We're in jail literally like 22 hours. And then they won't let us out. And then none of us have the credit cards. All our shit's still in the fucking van, basically. All our stuff. You know what I mean? And I think Belmar. Yeah, Belmar was the guy. He had his credit card or his stuff with him on the spot in the jailhouse. So we were going to get bailed out. Like our fine was like $1,571. I still remember it to this day. So Belmar paid for all of us to get out with the whole thing that Jake was going to pay us. Jake was going to pay the mag all back. And supposedly Jake never paid Belmar back.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? And then supposedly, I mean, we all paid Belmar back that I know of. You know what I mean? But anyhow, I don't even know the rest of that story. But anyhow, that's basically what happened. And so we got arrested and all this. And then at that point, we're all sitting in jail for like 22 hours, just sitting there, just pissed. You know, it's hot outside. Like it was sort of Texas in the middle of summer, but inside is super cold. And we all have shorts on. It's like AC. And I mean, we're fucking freezing. Like we're all in there, like, you know, like this kind of shit in the jail because it's just so fucking cold. You know what I mean? On cement floors. You know, they take on our shoes and our shoelaces, all that kind of bullshit. So we can't hang ourselves, all that kind of crap. And in the meantime, the cops are having a good laugh about it. I mean, like these punky skateboarders from California, who do you know?
Oh,
and then, you know, we're telling them we're there from Thrasher Magazine to do a story on this place. And, what, you're making us famous? Wow, you know? So it turned out to be comedy after a while, but it was still a fuck situation. And then after that, after we paid out to get out of jail, we had to like go all the way back to get our vans. And then it was so fucked, the whole thing. And at this point, Blackhorse is pissed.
Oh.
And Blackhorse is blaming Jake. You fucking asshole. Just fuck. You know what I mean? And so we all had to fly back to Texas to go back to court again.
Same.
On the same fucking day. All of us. And plead guilty on bullshit. So we all had to fly back out there and do it. Yeah. So, and then at that point, my wife was so mad. Like, man, no, you're like, I don't mind you doing these trips, Steve, but now you're costing us money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So eventually what I did is, you know, some guy wanted to buy my skateboard for that trip. And, which I don't normally sell my old boards too much. I mean, I do here and there. But I told the guy, I go, look, man, if you want this board, it's going to be $1,571. And he paid it. And Roger still has it to this day. So Roger's got it, you know, so he's the guy who has it. But that's the board. He has my board from getting busted in Texas.
All right.
You know what I mean? But I only sold it to him just because I just wanted to pay Julie back. So I wasn't losing money. So my wife was so mad I got caught and had to pay money and fine. That's coming out of your cut this time. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. Like the poor wife has to put up with all my shenanigans all these years. You know what I mean? I mean, I've been with her since 82 for 40 years now. We've been married for 30. So like, no, and like every once in a while, it's like she gets a call from jail. Like, God damn it, Steve.
Is she from your area? Where did you guys meet?
Yeah, she's from Laverne. I live in Montclair. So it's only like 4 or 5 cities over. And not even that, like 3 cities over. She lived at the base of the foothills going up, you know, next to my buddy, my good skateboard friend, Craig Rowe, lived not in the same block as her, but like a block away from her. And so Julie's brother, Jeff, used to hang around with Craig a lot. And that's kind of how like I met Julie, was through them, kind of like and then there's a skateboard connection too, again, you know what I mean? You know, people always ask like what my biggest accomplishments are. And I'm thinking that's my kids and my wife. You know what I mean? Just the fact that she married me. I put up with all my shit all these years.
Yeah.
I mean, I just told her that the other day. I know I'm an asshole sometimes, and you got to put up with a lot of my bullshit. But
yep.
But you know, she loves me, and I love her, and it's a good thing. We've raised 2 beautiful kids together, and the kids are doing great.
Good. Inspo.
And she's ripping, and Riley's doing his music. So yeah, it's cool, man. You know what I mean? And the kids still talk to me and talk to her all the time. There's no animosity, and usually if I call them up, they call me right there on the spot or pick it up right there. So, you know, I got a good relationship with the kids still.
Oh, really?
That part's really good. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm coming up on 1 year. I'm way behind you, but you got any tips for longevity and
I don't know. I think if anything, couples have to have their own interests outside of each other so they don't drive each other crazy, but you have to have interests that you do with each other at the same time.
I want to make my wife happy.
And some people are different. And some people are clingy. Some guys are clingy. Some girls are clingy. That generally doesn't work usually in the end when they're clingy. But I think just my thing is you have to have your own little trip. Like Julie's got her own little trip. I got my own little trip, but there's things we do together at the same time. Now, the one thing we like to do together a lot, we like hiking a lot. We love hiking together. That's really fun. So we do that a lot with the dog. But the one thing I think is even better than that, we like to surf a lot.
Oh, sick. So
most of the time we surf together. You know what I mean? So no, she's not maybe as good as I am, and I'm not the best surfer by any means either. But the thing is, she still enjoys it. And if she can get down the line once or twice a session, that's her thing too. Even for me, like if I can just get one good wave a session, I'm fucking hyped. You know what I mean?
Where do you go mostly? Are you like Huntington area, or where do you?
I'll go basically anywhere. I go to Newport a lot because it's closer.
Newport.
I go to Huntington too because it's closer. So those are probably the two most places I go to the most are Huntington and Newport. But outside of those two places, the place I like more than that is the San Clemente and T Street and like Trestles and like San Onofre and Cottons and Church. Yeah. I think those are probably the best waves in Southern California. Okay. And every time you go there, like Doheny too, and Doheny's ripping and it's big, it's good. I like Doheny when it's like 5 foot up. Yeah. If it's 5 foot down, then a lot of beginners there. But once it gets over 5 foot, it takes a lot of beginners out. And like then basically only the guys who know what they're doing is out there. Right. So that's the one thing when the waves do get bigger. Now I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna go surf 10-foot waves. I'm still kind of afraid to surf 10-foot waves. Right. I have a couple times, but I'm still fucking scared of shit. But for me, I like about 4 to 6. That's just, still got a little bit of power. It's a little big still, not too big, but it's not scary big. Right. Like I'm looking forward to it because tomorrow I'm supposed to be, starting tomorrow, I'm supposed to go to 4 to 6 for like the next 5 days. Now it's not gonna be 4 to 6 everywhere. The bigger spots that can handle it will be. Yeah. The next week it's going to be 6 to 8. So I'm looking forward to that because I'm hoping Doheny will break because Doheny's been breaking right now today. It's 2 to 3 plus. And if Doheny's like 8 foot, man, that place is like Waikiki. It's so rad. Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Sick, so I like that part.
How do you rate Glory Hole?
On one hand, it's super cool because it's one of the first ones they ever rode. But as far as how big it is and how rough it is, it's kind of gnarly. You know what I mean? So
it's one of the biggest, right? If not,
it's 28 too. So yeah, it's huge. That thing's massive, man. Gosh, I say overall, I'd probably rate it like on a 10 scale, probably like a 7. And there's way better pipes than that in today's world, but yeah, I'd say.
Is Amarillo one of the best?
Yeah, it is for sure. Hey, can you hang on one quick sec?
Yeah, no worries.
And now, another first impression with Tony Douglas Farmer.
This is Tony Farmer with another first impression for you. And this go, it is Steve Alba. Salba. The screaming Lord himself. Our Lord and Savior of the Badlands. Sally Baba. Sally in the alley. Fuck, I love that man. So I met Steve skating at the Pipeline Skate Park in Upland, California, 1987. And man, I was young, I was 18, and what a fucking intimidating place that was. Just the park itself was so fucking gnarly, and then the locals were heavy. And of all the locals, Steve and his brother Mickey were the heaviest. They put up a really intimidating front, both with their skating and their fucking vibes. But, it turns out underneath all that, he's just one of the sweetest cats on earth. And how we first met was, we were skating the combi, and I had a good run in the combi, and I came out of the round pool up through the shallow, and I was rolling out up the roll in, and Steve went flying past me, dropping in, and he reached out and slapped me 5, and with a big yeah. And I remember just fucking being like, wow, fucking Salba just slapped me 5. No fucking way. And then, fuck, it gets better. So later in the day, we're skating the full pipe. And again, I had a good run in the pipe. And when I popped out the back of the pipe, Steve was standing there. And again, hit me with a big yeah. And reached out his hand and said, hey man, what's your name? I'm Steve. And I was standing there dumbstruck, like, yeah, I think that's what I shook his hand. I said, yeah, I know. Fuck. I'm sure I eventually told him my name, but so that was the beginning, you know, and it's just grown and grown from there. And we've gotten to be a bit closer and closer through all the years. And he remains one of my best pals and favorite people to go skating with, be it pools or pipes or anything. That's it. Love you, Steve.
Yeah, so Amarillo. I think that pipe in my books, probably the best one.
The best one you've rode?
Yeah, I gotta say, through the years, it's I've always heard rumors. I've never really got to see this for real to see if it's true or not, but I've always heard it never been spilled. And what I mean by that means the waters never came over the morning glory to go into the pipe at all.
Mm-hmm.
So generally when that happens, you have rocks and debris and logs, all that kind of shit come in. It starts, after a while, starts kind of getting the bottom and wears it out after a while.
Okay.
And Amarillo's elbow is so fucking perfect. And the cement there is so perfect. It's like a skate park. It truly is.
Wow.
Now, sure, I haven't been there in probably, at this point, gosh, probably almost 15 years now, maybe, if not 20, since we went last. I'd have to make sure when was the last time I went there. I think the last time I went was 2005 or 2006, maybe 2007. I mean, I skated lots of pipes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never got to skate the one in Australia, Snowy Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one I've always wanted to skate. That big one down there, that's amazing. But I skated a whole bunch of other ones. You know, I skated all the Arizona pipes in the old days, which those are by far the best pipes I've ever skated, by far. And Amarillo, can't even touch those.
Really?
I mean, Amarillo's still good. It is. But the pipes in Arizona, the CAP pipes, you know, Central Arizona project, those, perfect Amaron pipes. It was like skating on marble. That's how smooth they were.
Yeah, Brandon was
every Arizona project has been just so smooth. It's just perfect, man. But other than that, I'd say some of the other pipes in some of the other states, you know, you got them a lot of states, to be honest with you. Probably my favorite still is Amarillo, but outside of that, you know, Baldy's up there because it's just so classic, but it's so rough now. And to be honest with you, as far as all pipes are concerned, I say Baldy is that's number one, because it's that's where it started all there. I mean, no one rode Berryessa before they rode Baldy. They rode Baldy way before Berryessa. You know what I mean?
Baldy's so sick because it's on a slope, so you can as high as you can get because there's enough speed. So it challenges. Were you there at all with Burnquist trying to loop it?
Yeah, I was. I got photos of that too.
That was gnarly.
So
right?
I have my photos, and then Lance has his photos, and then Grant has his photos. But we're the only 3 guys that even have photos of Bob.
No way.
I've never shown my photos of Bob. I have some sick photos of Bob. Amazing photos of Bob.
Was it scary
watching?
watching?
And to see him do that was probably the sickest shit I have ever seen in skateboarding, by far.
Wow.
There's no denying it. The loop is the loop. That's fine. But dude, you loop in a fucking natural full pipe.
Mm-hmm.
You name me one other skateboarder's even done that. There's not one.
Dwayne never did it?
Not Baldy. Dwayne did the loop on that plexiglass thing. You know what I mean?
Okay. So
but again, that was made for that. I'm not dismissing what he did either. I'm not. That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Anybody who's done the loop is fucking God in my book.
It's so gnarly.
Seriously.
Yeah. I've seen the slams.
I've tried it and I ate shit. I've always wanted to try it again.
You tried it a few times?
I've only tried Tony Hawk one.
Uh-huh.
So that was probably at this point, probably 10 years ago. I don't know if I still like to try it in my head. I have to be in a little better shape still. I'm kind of out of shape in my book for that right now. But Hackett making it. And Grosso making it. The whole Hackett story, Grosso story is insane. Now, you've heard that one, right? You've heard about that story?
No.
Okay, this is crazy, man.
At Tony
So,
Hawk's?
so as far as all the loop stories go,
Yeah.
so Grosso, Lance, and Olson, we're gonna go try the loop one day, right? All three of them at Tony's place. Like it was all sucked up in the warehouse.
Yeah.
And on the way down there, Lance and Olson are going together, and Grosso's going to meet them. But on the way there, Hackett calls fucking Olson. And Hackett's all like, what are you guys doing? And Steve's all, well, I'm with Lance right now. We're going to go. I can't tell you where we're going right now. It's a secret. Fucking hangs up. And Lance and fucking, don't fucking tell Hackett, man. You know? So anyhow, fucking Hackett keeps calling him back. And they get to the fucking place where they're going to do it. Lance is already trying to do it a little bit. Olson goes for it. And Grosso showed up and he's kind of going for it. And they don't really know what's up. They're just kind of they're trying it. They're getting worked a little bit and whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then Hackett calls on Olson's phone again. And then Hackett, what the fuck are you guys? You're my fucking boy. Like, why don't you tell me what's up? And Olson's, well, we're trying to loop right now. And at that point, Grosso, no, fucking don't tell fucking Hackett. Fucking just gonna ruin it all. Fuck. And then Hackett shows up. And walks in the door. Hackett, sure. I'm the hack man. I'm here. So what are you guys doing? So you guys are a bunch of fucking pussies. I got this shit in fucking 9 tries.
Oh.
Calls them all out. Right? And at that point, fucking Olson and fucking Lance and Grosso are just like, Lance just stops, like, fuck. Grosso says, fuck. And then fucking Hackett goes and he fucking makes it within 7 tries.
Whoa.
After he calls out 9, he fucking makes it.
Wow.
He makes it. And Olson's just, ah! Grosso's like, Lance is like, fuck this, man. I'm over it. And Grosso's like, fuck, are you fucking kidding me? You fucking old man. You can't come in here and fuck me up. Fuck you. And Grosso fucking keeps doing it and then he makes it too.
No way.
Yeah. So that's how that's that story. So like, it was just such a crazy thing that, they were going to go and try to do it. Hackman comes in there and fucking oldest guy ever.
Yeah.
Fucking busts the loop out to this day still. I think he was like 59 when he did it or some shit like that then.
Fuck.
I don't know, whatever. I forget exactly how old he was, but
late 50s.
Maybe 57, something like that.
Yeah.
But he fucking made it. And so to this day, like, Grosso's made it, Hackett's made it, like Josh Borden's made it.
Bordo made it?
It's kind of crazy. Yeah. Gordon, he did it the day I tried it. So Tony, after that, Tony set it all back up like a year later and calls us up and said, hey man, you want to try this shit? And I want to try it so bad after Grosso and like Hackett made it. Well, fuck. And so the funny thing is I had this dream. And in my dream, I tried the loop and I dropped in and I go flying out the loop at 1 o'clock and landed in the fucking parking lot.
Oh, dude.
And I had a dream about this, right? So I go that day and I'm trying to get the balls just even drop in the little fucking ramp to kind of do it. And it's such a strange phenomenon how to even do this thing. And so like at first, most people drop in the big ramp, kind of just drop and they hit the wall, just fall into the wall. Like Peter King did that. He was with us too that day. He just slammed in the wall and he's like, I'm over it. So that day there was probably like about 15 people going to try it. Alex Chalmers was there too. He was already there before all of us. He even tried before by himself.
Really?
Yeah, that guy's a fucking maniac.
Wow.
But anyhow,
shout
and then Chalmers was like,
shout out.
Yeah, he was the first dude that day when I was there to actually do it. He did it before all of us. He'd already been like an hour, maybe an hour and a half before all of us got there and was trying it by himself. Like, dude, just even think that you're going to try it by yourself with no one even there to fucking show you what's up. I thought the dude was fucking funny. He did it. And he's just like, wow. And then Josh Stafford showed up too. He did it too.
No way. Damn.
Yeah, well, so I'm on Friday. That's the day he did it. And then Josh Borden made it that day too. 3 people made it that day. I was there.
Sick.
But anyhow, also that same day, I was there with Owen Nieder was there, the older guy. He was going to try it with me. So he gave up pretty quick. He gave up after I flew out at 1 o'clock. So my dream came true. After I kind of figured it out a little bit, at one point I got to the fucking top and I flew out the edge and landed in the fucking parking lot. They had the bags there, so I hit the bags a little bit. I didn't get too hurt.
Yeah.
But it scared the fuck out of me.
Dude.
And then what I did is on the bottom, when you're dropping in, did my little Salba speed car shuffle thing, what I call it. And then when I did that, that made me fucking, I didn't cartwheel, thank God, like fucking some of the other guys did, because that's the worst thing to do is cartwheeling that thing. So, but I was afraid. And then at that point, I think Alex Chalmers had already made it. I want to say Stafford had already made it. Borden was trying it was a little bit. But out of the 15 guys, that quickly dwindled down. I'm thinking like 5 guys within the first 20 minutes. Right. And after I fly out at 1 o'clock, then I go back and try it again. And Tony's all like, Tony Hawks are trying to guide us all through this thing. And they 80 Max there too. Right. So like, don't fucking do that little shuffle thing, Steve. Don't do that. You can't do that. It's just like a straight. So anyhow, I tried a couple more times. And I gave up. I was just so frustrated. And then after I made it, Josh Burnquist kept doing it. And then he actually made it.
Shout out.
Borden.
And then at that point, I was hanging with Borden a lot because that's when he was skating for Santa Cruz still. So me and Borden are like this still. Like we're skating comedy like fucking twice a week.
I love
we're fucking skating pools with me. And Borden was my boy at that point, man. Like fucking we're fucking
Yeah.
So anyhow, Josh was like, dude, get back up there. I think you can do it. You don't have the wrong thing. What you do, I was practicing backflips on a trampoline. I had a trampoline at the time. The kids still had the trampoline, so I'm practicing backflips constantly, and I'm practicing side flips. So if I can land back on my feet, if I'm cartwheeling out, right?
Okay.
And I'm doing it on purpose so I can land that lap, right?
Right.
So Josh is all like, man, you've been working on the trampoline all this time. All you got to do is put your head up. Just like the trampoline. Don't fucking do the jiggle. Just right straight. Hold your core tight and just do this. So I'm thinking, wow. So at this point, everybody's done. Board's just made it. Everybody's like, they're going to put everything away. Josh's like, come on, just go try it 3 or 4 more times. Try it. So I go back in, and they still have the badge on the bottom, right? So the first one, I got to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I go, oh, okay, fuck, okay. So the second try, I fucking put my head up, and then, whoa, I got to like 2:30, 3 o'clock, into the bag again.
Oh.
And so I did it again. I did like 3 or 4 times after they all made it. Crashed I probably did it like 10 times, but out of those 10 tries, 3 or 4 of the tries, when I did this, I was actually getting to 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Damn.
So half of me still thinks now I have the method, I can actually go in there and actually do it.
Right.
But the other half of me, I'll be honest with you, here's the part that terrifies me. It's like anything can go wrong in that loop, man.
Dude, you
whether
got
you cartwheel out or whether you do what Tony did and break your hip, like in the fucking gorilla suit. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong. And in today's world, I just don't know if I'm ready to put myself through that anymore, to be honest with you. And if that presented itself and I was in better shape, I might try it again. But like if they're going to be there tomorrow, I wouldn't do it, I don't think.
I was talking to Partner about it, and he tried it the first time and kind of had the same situation you did and was eating shit. And it was all in his head how there's a lot of fear because you see Schaefer and these guys eat shit. So he went to Tampa the next one. He's like, I was drinking a couple beers. I got a beer right when I got there, drank it. So I didn't really think about it. And I just went in and did it.
Yeah.
His philosophy, I think, was kind of like, if you can just try not to be scared of because there's a lot to be scared of.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. I mean, Jimmy Wilkins is the best vert skater out, and he fucking ate shit. Like you see these guys that are really talented slamming, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah, he got fucking warped, dude. He couldn't skate for a year almost when that happened too. He was fucked. So that's the other thing. The people who have ate shit in it, they pay that heavy. I mean, Schaefer's slam was like probably the heaviest slam.
Yeah.
Even Tony's slam, like the hip fucking, I mean, so like again, it's no fucking joke. And if you would ask me back when I was 18, hey man, could you do the Hot Wheel track? No, there's no way you'll do the Hot Wheel track. I mean, even Dwayne. Now, I'm not going to say I don't believe Dwayne, because on one hand, I want to believe Dwayne. But again, there's never the footage of him actually making it. I mean, I've never seen it. I've never seen a photo of him actually doing it. I want to believe he did it. Half of me said I want it. Like, dude, he did do it.
Yeah. But
the half of me saying now that I've actually tried it, knowing how gnarly it is, like, fucking, like, man, like, where's the fucking proof? The proof was in the pudding. I hate to say it. Now, you got to give Dwayne complete gnarly ass credit for trying it fucking for the first time ever. Anybody doing that shit back in those days, I mean, that's fucking insane.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's just one of the things. Again, skateboarding is like, do you think something's impossible? And to be honest with you, there's nothing impossible on a skateboard. You could do this. You guys have the mindset for it. This is like surfing in big waves. Okay, now would you want to go surf Nazarene, 80-foot wave, 100-foot wave?
No.
You put one of us in there, we're going to die. There's no. I mean, I know I'd die if I went there. I know for a fact I'd die if I put myself in that situation.
Yeah.
But there's guys that go put themselves in that situation, knowing they could pull it. They know in the back of their mind they could die, but the other half of their mind saying, "Man, I could pull this shit. I got this shit."
Right. Like Nathan's shit was insanity.
Yeah.
Fletcher. Like, oh,
yeah, the same shit. Like that White Rhino movie, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know Nathan all that well. I know him pretty good. But dude, I respect that fucking guy. I mean, the whole Fletcher family is insane.
Yeah.
From Herbie to the two kids and to the fucking
to the mom, Dibby.
All of them.
Yeah.
Even the fucking grandkid. I mean, fucking, the Grayson's is fucking insane too. It's like fucking Fletcher DNA. That's just
is
for real, dude.
Strong in that family. Is it possible for you to do your top 5 best pipe riders?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now it's kind of hard to break 50 years of the pipe riders into 5 guys. You know what I mean? Of all the guys I've seen all through the years. But, as far as like the older 70s guys, I'm definitely putting Blackheart in there.
Okay.
Blackheart was a pipe master. So Blackheart's top 5. I'm going to say probably like Tay Hunt is top 5 because Tay in the old days was just like, you couldn't touch Tay with a fucking 10-foot pole. Tay was like Chris Miller in the 70s. Had that kind of flow and that kind of just like, nowadays pipe riders, he was definitely in there. Miller's definitely in there. That's 4 already. Those are 4 guys I think that really just fucking say it all right there.
Right.
Now your 5th guy, that's a hard one because there's so many other guys that are gnarly, from Royce Nelson to Tony Farmer. And I even put Belmont on this. He had a good thruster. Who's another good pipe rider is Mike Smith.
Yeah. Mike
Smith was a ripping pipe rider. So for that matter was
you ever ski with Spock?
Yeah, him too. Yeah. So Spock ruled the hook.
Yeah.
This dude. I mean, who goes higher than Spock except for maybe Mickey at the hook? You've seen it. I've seen it. I mean,
yeah.
The hook is gnarly. The hook is gnarly.
Yeah.
Now new guys, Trujillo's no fucking stops in the pipe. That shit down in fucking Australia proves it. Rune's another guy in a pipe that's just gnarly.
Grant.
Grant's another guy in a pipe that's just gnarly too. But I'm trying to think of the guys who like went over the door at Pier Park. I'm not sure if Grant's ever done that. I'm sure he could. I have no doubt.
I know.
But when you go over the door at Pier Park, in my opinion, you're at a whole other fucking level, dude.
Oh, Kowalski
that kind of level is like, I think Kowalski did it. But that's like almost like loop level. Think about who's gone over the door at Pier Park. That's a gnarly accomplishment any way you look at it. You know what I mean? Miller's done it. Lance has done it. I've done it. Rune's done it. I think Kowalski's done it. There's another local there that did it. Benji Galloway did it backside. You know what I mean? There's a couple other guys, but that crew is a small crew too in itself. It really, truly is. When you're trying to go out and do that door at Pier Park, man, when you're looking at that thing, that's terrifying too. I'll be honest with you, man.
Maybe
it's fucking scary.
Did Willis do it? He might have done it.
Willis did it too. Yeah. Willis is another guy. Like you can't discount Willis. Yeah. I'm sure I'm forgetting some guys already, you know what I mean? But so, there's 4 pipe guys there. The 5th dude, like that's just a hard decision to make, man. Cause there's so many other guys that are,
we got the Mount Rushmore of pipes with the pipe.
And I'm sure there's another guy in there that Waldo Autry, if you look at Baldy and look at what Waldo did back in the old days and all those covers, the Skateboarder magazine cover, the Skateboard handbook cover. He was not Skateboarder magazine. That's Mike Weed. But, he's another guy too, like Waldo Autry. Sorry about that.
No, it's cool. I was thinking, in my mind, I was feeling Chris Miller and Peter Hewitt were definitely going to be.
No, they're definitely in there for sure. Yeah, those definitely like my top 2. Right, that's the top of my tongue. Boom.
And Blackheart, yeah.
Yeah, Blackheart. So Olson was no slouch in the pipe too. He wasn't. And for that matter, Phelps can skate pipes pretty good too. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to think, in my opinion, the guys who skate pipes the best are the guys who frontside thrust higher than anybody. And when you really think about that, that's a pretty small group of guys too, the frontside thrusters. You know what I mean?
Any of the Texas, Craig Johnson, Gibson,
John Gibson. You know, we should definitely put him in there because I mean that shot of him.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite covers of all time.
Yeah, and then the fact that Tex skated a lot of pipes with us too. He went to Arizona with us. So did Craig Johnson. You know, I skated pipes in Arizona with both those guys, and in Amarillo, and at Pipeline, and at Whittier. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty fucking good candidate. Yeah, I'd have to say it. Yeah, John Gibson, dude, he's in there.
What is this really happening? I only dreamed this stuff at home.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, the fact that, and here's the thing too, people, we're all getting older and in this phase, we can't do what we did when we were kids. So on one hand, I mean, I can still thrust pretty good myself. I'm not for sure if I can go as high as I used to, but what John did in those early years, man, with no pads at Amarillo, because that thing, he has no pads on there either. It's skating no pads. You know what I mean? That photo is, that's one of my favorite photos of all time.
And the lighting is like framing him. It's so good.
I mean, it's just the way the light kind of just, it's like, as far as like a photography where a photo where you're using all of like your tricks that you learned in school with textures and focal point and overall, all that stuff. I mean, that picture is just like, it just draws your eye straight from the right corner, right into the pipe and look, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's insane, man. Skateboarding photos, man, it's just like, it's kind of hard to say, like, we're all said and done, we're all gone, and say people are looking at this shit like 200, 300 years from here, 100 years from now, and they're gonna like, who the fuck were these guys?
Yeah.
What is these guys doing? And there's just the images and the photos that you can see, and just to stop that moment in time right there. It's such a fast thing to kind of pick up and perceive, perception-wise, and the fact that we've been looking at this and seeing it our whole lives. Pretty damn amazing. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what drew me to the pandemic drew it to me. But once I started doing like the podcast, it's like a stamp, just like the magazine, to have this like in 100 years, hopefully these will still be a format that people could be like, who were these guys? And hear some of the stories and be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Or whatever. That's really cool.
That's the one thing about today in the digital age is all of us, yourself, myself, Felper, Grasso. I mean, people who've even passed, they're still here.
Yeah.
You can still hear their voice. You can still see what they do. You can still see them rip. You can still, like, I just put that photo of Jeff doing the invert the other day. I was like just cruising through some stuff, and Mr. Z's popped, dude, that photo Grasso, I had to put that up right now. Dude, fuck yeah. So
yeah.
Like, you see things like that, and like, it just brings a smile to your face. You know what I mean? I saw that, I just started smiling. I go, dude, man, we're back at combi again, man. Fucking getting rad. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just, and again, like photos, like, especially photos in the old days, just, because everything's digi now. And unless you're actually, it's hard to say, like, whether the photography is kind of the same as it was, because you had like a slide or the negative. And it's not like, you still kind of digitally, you don't have the same exact thing, but it's just when you can hold that slide in your hand and like you're just looking through the slide and looking through the little light and just, wow, this is cool. And then you see it come to life and it's all blowing up. It's like, there's something special about that, man. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's super cool. I talked to Lance Mountain and he said to ask you why you don't still do the nose grab grind to revert.
Yeah, that's funny. He asked me about that the other day. I don't know. I mean, I haven't done a Burt revert in a while.
Yeah, Burt.
I mean, I used to do Burt revert. I used to do like what I call frontside tail slide, the Burt reverts, which is that's what he's talking about when you grab the nose and do that around. You know what I mean? And it's kind of funny because like this new park just popped up in Lake Paris, and my good buddy Burke Lurker, Kevin Burke, and my other friend Al. They've been going down and barging it. It's not open to the public yet. They're just skating it. And then KB called me that day. Like, dude, you have to go and skate this pool. It's got your name all over it. And I started looking at it and I go, man, that pool, I could do a Burt revert in that pool. It looks so perfectly set up. Like that was the first thought I got to do. I want to go do a Burt revert in that fucking pool. It's funny, you mentioned that right now, because I was just thinking, like, I gotta go do that, and I gotta film it and send it to Lance. You know what I mean? And now you're actually talking about it right now. This is so fucking funny, because I was just talking to Kevin Bunk last night, just like, dude, we need to go skate the new park, man. I'm gonna do like a rock and roll this. I'm gonna do a nose grind, and it's funny because I don't even talk like that anymore. I don't really I'm gonna do this, and this, because I just haven't been thinking that way, you know. Because sometimes I would get in my mind, like, I have to do a frontside air, I have to do a leaning tail slide, I got like 10 or 15 tricks I got to do every session. And then at one point, the last time I skated with Kevin Staub was right before the contest, over there at the combi, and he saw me get mad one day, and I was throwing my board. I'm like, fuck, Steve, what are you doing, man? Like, just enjoy it, you know? And I go, no, but I didn't make my fucking air. I got to make a corner air. I didn't make my slob, run this corner. I didn't make this frontside air, lean a tail slide. I want to do blah, blah, blah. And so, man, you can't, why do you think that way? Just go out there and have fun. So ever since he kind of taught me that, I've been kind of thinking more like that mode. But at the same time, it's like now, because I don't have this little set thing I'm going to do, sometimes you just start skating, just flow, and just you forget about all that shit. And then sometimes it starts coming, and someone does something rad. Oh, dude, I want to do that. Or, so it's that kind of thing. So, on one hand, like, maybe thinking about, but still when the session gets heated, like, try this or that. Or like one guy's like, when's the last time you tried some Andrix? And I haven't tried Andrix in a while. And I haven't probably tried it maybe 4 months now but I went to Elster one day and just started trying a couple. And by the fifth one, I had it up in the air, and maybe I could fucking do this again. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Now, God, it's hard. It's so hard to say, like, you're 59 and keep skating. And now you're going to be like 60 around the corner. But like, dude, like, we're still doing it. And like now, like, I almost want to do like an Henrik on my 60th birthday. Just like, dude, like, fuck it, let's just go do this shit. You know what I mean? And how sick would that be though? Like, rad, like, doing an Henrik when you're 60. I mean, that'd be fucking amazing, right?
I mean, that's the whole thing, is like, how long can this go? Well, as long as we keep it going. Like, it's crazy because there wasn't people ahead of you necessarily that like established, like, you can't go past this age, like,
well, that's the thing. Like, most sports guys, like, all your professional sports guys, they quit when they're 38, 40.
Yeah.
And I mean, and then like, as
you're
much
skating in your 50s, what the hell? The doctor's like, ah.
yeah. But I kind of always look at Alba though, because Alba's older than all of us, and he's still killing it. And he's going to be 64, I think, this year, if not 65.
Yeah.
So he's 5 years older than me. So
as long as he keeps going,
but it's still just crazy. Like, so like Grasso and like Lance Avery tell me, and Hewitt and Maverick, they say they look up to me like, we're wanting to see what you do. But I was looking like at Tony Alba,
right?
And like Howard Hood's older than me, and like Olsen too. You know what I mean? So like, but I mean, they're still killing it, and Howard's fucking still killing too. He's like 62, and like he can still like do any nose picks. Like, fuck. And then you look at fucking homie in fucking Florida, Mark Lake. You know what I mean? He's just turned 63, and he just did a fucking invert on his fucking birthday. Like, fuck yes, that's sick. So it's hard to say. Maybe we still can't be rolling and grinding and carving when we're 70. Maybe keep in shape. Now you got to keep in shape. Now that's another 10 years. I mean, let's face it. Every 10 years you kind of get older. It's like gnarlier and gnarlier. Let's be honest.
Yeah. My vision every 10 years goes.
Yeah. So you just got to keep. You got to keep fit. So that's another reason I want to keep fit, because like, I don't know. I just don't want to be fat,
longevity,
big, and just like, so you can't do anything. I want to be able to still like be able to grab my board and be flexible. And that's my most important thing, is being flexible. You know what I mean? And especially when you're older, it's like, if you're not flexible when you're older, you can't even touch the crayon. Like, and like someone like Farmer and Dan Rogers, they're all about like, I only have 5 years left, 5 good years, 5 gold years, and all that kind of shit. And that's all cool too. But when you start really thinking that way, if you're only thinking I only have 5 more good years left, I mean, why don't you just think you have 20 good years left? You know what I mean? And
Farmer and Dan Rogers are like the same kind of guy, huh? I just put that together.
They're very similar in that respect. You know what I mean? They're kind of similar kind of wavelength as far as the way their mind makes up and how they kind of think and proceed. But that's fine. Everybody's got their own little thing, and that's what makes skating sick. If we're all the same robot fuckers, we wouldn't be sitting here talking right now. You know what I mean? So, and that's what's so sick about skating, and all these different styles and different genres and different things. And again, like, we can talk, and like 20 in the 90s, 91, 92, 93, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now. You know what I mean? I mean, we knew each other then, and we were all that kind of good stuff too, and respect each other. But the point is, there's been a paradigm shift to skating now. And that shift is where like it's cool for like an old guy like myself to go ski with a 13-year-old, or it's cool for like Ron Allen who fucking just still kills it too. Go ski with his like kids or whoever's gonna stoke on him. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So there's just like dudes like that. Like I reached out to Ron a couple months or so ago when I saw him do that stuff at Tampa. I go, dude, you're still killing it, and he wrote me back some cool stuff too. But the point is, we still like each other, respect each other as skaters and fucking people, because we know we're kind of getting older. You might not be able to do some of the things you did when you're 20, but you're still doing things that you can do that no one else is doing at their fucking 50s and 60s. You know what I mean? So that in itself is pretty sick too. It really is, to think that we're still, I mean, even again, if you would have asked me when I was 18 if I still be skating now, I probably would have said no back when I was a kid.
Right. No,
but
for sure.
Nowadays,
we're like 20. 20s is old. Like we were like 16 or something. I don't know. Yeah. You're just like, now it's like 50. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I was in and out the other day, right? And getting my little cheaper I like to get once in a while. And when the in and out kid sees me and he just stops dead in his tracks. So, dude, you're Salba. I can't believe it. You're in my in and out. Like, what? Can you? I'm like, it's okay, man. Like, what kind of board you got? You know what I mean? Like, what size trucks you ride? And that kind of thing. So it's just kind of crazy. Like the dudes kind of like recognized me that I would never even like whatever. Right. I go, how do you know about me? He's like, well, I saw you on Vice. Whoa. I saw you on during the Thrasher stuff when you did the Thrasher stuff. Like that shit was badass. You took him skating at Baldy and you took him to do that. That shit's badass.
King of the road,
yeah, King of the road stuff. So like, so it's just so weird and random sometimes. You know what I mean? We were in Hawaii. I went to Maui a couple weeks back. Me and the wife went on vacation, and then it's so funny. This guy had an indie shirt on. I knew he didn't skate. He's walking with his family. I stopped him. I was like, hey, man, what size trucks do you ride? As he puts his head down, he's like, oh, I don't skate. And his sister starts laughing at him because she like, you could tell she was like ribbing him for the same thing. You're going to wear a shirt, you know?
Yeah.
Here I am, the old fucking guy, giving him the shit. Just like, and the sister was just giggling. He was probably about, he was probably like 20s, but the little sister was probably like, 19, 18, I don't know how it was, but she was just laughing. And I thought it was kind of funny because the guy just looked close and said, no, I don't skate. You know what I mean?
That's
and the sister's like, told you.
Yeah.
So I just like, every time I see someone like wears an indie shirt, I know it's or a Thrasher shirt, I always kind of say, what size trucks you ride? And she was all like, don't do that. You're just embarrassing them. I go, I know, but I'm not trying to embarrass them. I'm just trying to make a point. Like, dude, I'm kind of know about all this stuff, and they might think I'm an old guy, but like, I'm in with the boys, man. You know what I mean? Like, got to protect our brand. You know what I mean? So that's all. It's just like a little ribbing. It's just like, then that goes back to the old days. Like, take that little knife and squeeze it in a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 2022, it's a lot harder to heckle, but we still have it in our DNA, right? It's like, we just trying to get creative on ways to do it that it's like not going to ruin our whole life.
Well, you can't heckle like you used to. Like to quote Phelps, like, you can't be a fucking pussy.
Yeah. Right. This morning I'm getting ready for the interview, and I hadn't even thought about this question at all. And I put this shirt on, which is a Grindline the Band shirt, and I'm like, dude.
Salba sauce. I met him in the Oakland parking lot. Salba sauce. Put the gauge where you're waiting before you piss me off. I skated, had a junction with this guy named Rule. Sprayed on way too much at the pepper pool. I went up for a grind and landed on my head, and now I'm laying down in a hospital bed. Salba sauce. I met him in the Oakland parking lot.
What did you think of the song Salba Sauce?
Oh yeah, so this is funny because everybody thinks that song was like, trying to crumb on me and all that shit, and it was a little bit. But the night they made that song up, Monk called me, just laughing his ass off, and fucking Shaggy was with him because Shaggy helped write some of the lyrics with him. Dave Palmer, and so it was actually Dave who called me. So, dude, listen to this shit.
I went up forward on laid back, and now I'm knocked out on the flat. Broke a pipe and I lost my sack. Slid out on that wax you at the fucking Salba sauce. I know you bought those Vans and Ross. Salba sauce. Can't sugarcoat me, who's the boss? Got a pocket full of blood and glass. Spray too much, it's way too fast. Your backside grind don't even count, 'cause you sprayed on 7
could hear the Salba soft part, but I couldn't hear the years. Oh, what are you guys saying? And he told me the whole song. And I'm like, dude, that's fucking awesome. And then Monk gets on, like, what do you think, Steve? I'm like, dude, you know I fucking love it. He's like, I know you would. Fuck, we love you, man. So the funny thing is, all these people, these kids think that like they were out to fucking get me. And like, you know what I mean? But the funniest thing is, Monk, when I first met him, he come down on a train and I took him pool skating. I took Red pool skating in the old days too. I took them both, but not together, separately, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I remember Monk was always tripping on us, like, because we always had all these pools down here. And we were trying to tell him, like, you just need to make your own pool up there if you got nothing going. Just make your own shit. And so, like, I had never had the skills to do the DIY shit like they did. But I always thought that he was fucking super stoked that he actually went and did. And I'm not going to say like he did it just because I told him to. I'm not even trying to go there. What I'm just trying to go is he just had this idea. Even then, like, you know, I want to do what you guys do kind of thing, but up here. So I thought that was kind of rad. And so I had a lot of love for that dude, and he had a lot of love for us, you know, and it's just kind of crazy that everything, there was a big rip between us because there wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't
it's
at all.
tongue in cheek.
It was tongue in cheek. And that's why I thought it was even more funny because, hey, you know what? If you can't laugh at yourself sometimes, right, then come on, right? So
that was one of the first things I learned when I worked at Thrasher. It was told to me about Fausto, and then it later was told to me about Jake. And it was like, if they don't like you, they won't talk. Like, they're not going to make fun of you unless they like you.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If they hate you, you're just cut. Like,
yeah,
it's like
kind of like hard love,
you know,
and it's kind of like almost like you're the little brother kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's the way I kind of looked at it, because they always, and again, Fausto was like another dad to me too himself. I mean, he was like as much as Stan Hoffman, Fausto was even more, because he was always giving me crazy advice and kind of showing me, kind of telling me what to do. So I mean, I always thought of him as my dad too. And again, it's like I knew he wouldn't be ripping me if he didn't like me. I knew he wouldn't be calling me, come on, fuck Salba, you fuck pussy, you know, all that kind of shit. He didn't like me. And as much as like that didn't really bother me, that kind of talk.
Yeah.
It made me mad sometimes, but when it made me mad, I just wanted to skate better and get radder. So, I mean, there was a how do you say, there was a method to his madness, so to speak. You know what I mean? I was like walking the mag and, hey man, you got any joints?
Yeah.
And I remember the first time, like, I took Julie up there. We just started smoking right in the office. And she's like, what do you guys, you can't do that. This is a business. And Fausto was like, well, I own the business. I can do what the fuck I want. So
yeah.
That's so Fausto right there, right? I mean,
it was so eye-opening, like, wow.
Yeah. So again, like, you know, if those guys weren't ragging on you and giving you some shit, you knew you didn't like, you know, but if they were giving you all that kind of shit, you just knew, you go home at night like, yeah, I'm in. I'm fucking stoked. You know what I mean? So yeah, good times, man.
We're winding down, but I'm wondering if you would be down to talk a little bit about what your thoughts are on like watching us all evolve and watching like the legends and how they're handling some of these things, and the Iron Cross disappearing and cancel culture and all that stuff that's happened during, and then we're adapting and trying to like hold on to like our roots and what's important at the same time.
Yeah, that's a tough question, and like the whole ethos that goes with that, right? Like you know, it's the whole fuck you attitude,
right?
And then you actually kind of pull the whole fuck you attitude back. It's like, yeah, that's a hard one, and you know, and I hate this. It's hard to even like talk about that in a sense because you know, you don't want to like piss the wrong people off on one hand, but I have this on my arm. It ain't going nowhere. You know what I mean? And
well, Mofo told me this story about it, which was they were looking at Time magazine and there was the fucking Pope on the cover, and he had a band, what are those things called?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but he has that thing on there, and it's got the logos right here.
Yeah, and it had the Iron Cross logos on them, and that's where they got it for the indie thing. But then like 30 years later, they're like, and then of course there's the ideology of like, well, how is it affecting people? Like, what is it representing to people now? And like, maybe it's time to put it on the shelf, like whatever.
Well, I think, you know, the whole thing, this goes back to the whole Nazi thing. So let's just be honest, right? So the whole Nazi cross, the Iron Cross, that whole moniker that goes with that. So that's what riles people up in today's world. And I get that. It's riled people forever. You know what I mean? again, I think you have a valid point where, like, you know, if companies put so much history into saying this is how it is, and here's the evidence of where we got it from, and saying this, we got it from the church and got it from the Pope, which, you know, to be honest, like, that's one of the most standard bearers in the world, like, right? If you're going to kind of take something out the Catholic Church, so to speak, I mean, it's worldwide and all that. So I can, you know, I can see both sides of it. I see it from the business side, why they made the decision. But from a skater side, I still think, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, it's hard to say that happened from there. And I think one situation with someone else actually led to the situation with this. I think that's more than anything, to be honest with you. I think that's kind of, you know what I mean? Now, do I agree with it? Not all the time. Now, am I going to say, am I a Nazi because I have it on my arm? No, because I don't believe my thing on my arm is as a Nazi affiliation. It's not an Iron Cross. So, I mean, that's a big difference. The Iron Cross was definitely a Germanic kind of thing, and this was more from France. When you kind of go and look at the whole history of it, where it's just the Alsace. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's ALSACE, but it's that place in France, and that's where it came from. And that's where the Pope got it from.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. And then the crazy thing is, now when you've ran a logo like this all these years, and that's kind of been your thing, like, and all of a sudden you change that, that's why a lot of people get up in arms about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just a hard thing to, you know.
The thing that trips me out, and you can comment on this if you want to or not, but if you go to Transworld's website, right? Transworld skateboarding.net or whatever it is, and you type in top 30 most influential skaters of all time, right? And you get to number 24 of all time, it says removed. That's what it says. For the 24th most influential skater of all time on their website, removed. That's insane to me. And,
wow.
and you know what I'm saying? And right under it, number 23 is Dwayne Peters. So make that what you want. That's just a true story.
Yeah, that's kind of bizarre. And I know who you're talking about. So, but yeah, that's the whole thing just is terrible, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? And if Dwayne's there, then he should be there too. Let's be honest. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying.
It's just almost like, you know, it's almost like trying to erase history on one hand. Where
that's
kind
of
that this didn't exist while in reality it did. And, you know, in reality too, you know, the person who's speaking, I think is a pretty cool dude myself. I've known him forever. You know what I mean? And so it is what it is. You know, people can say what they want to say.
Right.
I know what I think, and that's all I know. That's all I got to say. I've talked to this person we're talking to pretty recently, and it is what it is, man. I got a lot of love for him. Still will, still always will.
Okay.
It's never going to change. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's a whole nother story. It's just sucks for all parties.
Totally.
For everybody, for that matter. You know what I mean? I get it all, but, you know, it's on one hand, it's kind of a little silly sometimes. That's all.
Well, what's your mantra with all of it? Do you just stay the course? And I mean, like, are you trying not to even have that interfere with your thought process? Like, how do you go forward?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's hard, you know, because again, like this just almost starts going into politics a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
And politics and religion at the dinner table at Thanksgiving time are like off topic.
Totally.
You know what I mean? You
100%.
don't talk about that because you don't want to get everybody riled up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one reason I don't really talk about politics too much, to be honest with you. Now, I'll something irks me sometimes. I'll put something on my Instagram here and there that irks me. Right. I'll be honest. And you know what? It irks me the other day about the whole, you know, taking women's rights away. That irks me. I'll be honest with you. I think it's fucking lame. That's stupid.
Yeah.
And when you have somebody been here for 50 years and you take it away from the women.
And it's like 5 men.
Yeah. So it's just like, you know, the one thing I don't like is I don't like 70-year-old men telling women what to do.
Right.
With their own bodies. I think that's completely wrong.
Right. I do too.
And that's just kind of, I mean, let's just put it this way. All my friends who know me deep, they know where I stand. You know what I mean? On all this stuff. I just try not to put it in my Instagram and to do too much of the politics stuff here and there. Let's put it this way, man. We wouldn't be sitting here without women. We wouldn't be talking without our moms giving us birth. You know what I mean? So to sit there and talk shit on women and do more bad things against women and take their rights away from them, and, you know, equal pay, all the stuff that affects them. It's fucking wrong in today's world. That's just how I feel.
100%.
But I've always felt like, because I'm Mexican and my dad's Mexican, and I've seen the way you've treated all these years from other people back, especially in the 70s and 80s, back when we were younger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that really formed a lot of the way I think, to be honest with you. When you see the police pull my dad over and me and my little brother, when we're like 10 and 12 years old, with shotguns to our head and shit to our back, just because they thought, like, my dad's Mexican and thought he was in a bank robbery or whatever, that kind of shit. That really kind of like, wow, you're pulling my dad over just because he's Mexican, dude, just in a yellow truck, because that's the description. And it's not even like, you don't even know the whole thing. And yeah, so I've seen so much of that through the years, and I just see the way people treat other people. And
well,
it's crazy.
2022, what do you got going? You got a website? You selling some of this stuff you're making, your art?
Yeah, I've been selling my stuff. I'm kind of lagging on a website. I have some friends who said they kind of help me, and I just really need to do that.
People
more.
Just DM you or something? How can someone get some?
I just do DMs on Instagram or Facebook most of the time. It's how I sell most of my stuff, or by word of mouth. I do have some shit in like a couple shops here, and I carry my Hester shirts here and there.
You just doing small run of boards?
Yeah, I just do small runs of boards, and it's mostly my art boards and my art stuff, like kind of like Lance the Cab do, where we do like 100 boards of artwork, or 150, that kind of thing.
That thing Peacock just did looks really cool with the tiles.
Yeah. I wanted to help Peacock out with I like anything with pool skating.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, and my whole thing is like half my world's like in the pro skateboard world, but my other half of me is like in the underground pool world kind of thing. So I am really always going to gravitate toward that. I always have. But I think anybody who's making a film about skateboarding, documentary wise, pool skating, I'm all for that. And I like his angle about all the fires and stuff, about, and a lot of our friends like Red, some of these other guys have got their houses burned down in the fires with skaters. And so that's what the more of the story's about. So anything I can do to help get that story out there. I'm not even really in the piece that much. They just interview me more than anything. I'm not really skating in it.
Oh.
But at least I know of, you know what I mean? But hey, I'm stoked to be part of it still. And just even doing some little talking, that's cool, because I got nothing on Jesse and Tristan and Kowalski and some of these new pool kids that are just fucking insane nowadays, you know what I mean? Carrying the torch that we kind of started.
Tristan's part is too, so fucked up.
Yeah, Tristan's new part is like, what? It's like mind bending.
He's Jesus.
Because
Christ.
like, now Jay Worth is no joke either. You know what I mean? Jonathan's fucking insane.
Oh,
they're both insane. But just there's something about Tristan, man. He's just so much gnarlier, trick wise, line wise, and just some of the stuff he does. I mean, and we all know how hard pro skating truly is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like,
and
when
he
you're
does it
stuff,
kind of effortlessly looking. He almost does the Phil Shallow, where it's just like too easy looking.
Yeah, dude, he's definitely got the Phil. There's something about Phil and there's something about Tristan, man. There's just something, and all these skater kids who are super, super good, I'm always going to say there's like the 1 in a million kid. The 1 in a million kid is Christian Nasoy. The 1 in a million kid is Tony Hawk. The 1 in a million kid is fucking, I mean, there's so many of them like that, but there's only so many of those 1 million kids like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Tristan's one of those kids. You know what I mean? I think so. Just like I think, Kowalski's one of those guys like that. You know what I mean? But there's just something special about.
Yeah, Jimmy Wilkins is definitely.
Yeah, Jimmy Wilkins is another guy, and like Alex Perlson is another guy.
Oh yeah, Alex is
just like fucking. I mean, there's just such another level. But the one thing that I like about Tristan more than all the other guys is he can skate all the contests. He can do that stuff. He can do X Games. He can do gravity games. He can do the doo-doo. And he does good in those. He does top 3 in those most of the time. But then he can go skate a backyard pool at the same time. So what I'm trying to get at is not to knock a Jimmy Wilkins or a Clay Craner or some of these other dudes, man. They're all fucking sick as fucking their own right too. And Clay can skate poles pretty good too himself. But I just think what Tristan does is going back and forth. It's just so much fucking gnarly. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. You know what I mean? That's just, Tristan special. There's something about that kid, man. It's just, I don't know what it is. I've been seeing this kid since he's been 4 years old.
Yeah, you watched him grow up, right?
I mean, I've watched him, like, he had a ramp when he was 5. Mini ramp when, from 5 to 10, just all the mini ramp stuff. Then when you skate ridiculous with us, that's when he really started taking off, really starting to kind of get more shit going. And like, even in ridiculous, he was doing, I mean, he was carving the shallow stairs of ridiculous back when he was 12.
Fuck.
You know what I mean? I've never seen any other 12-year-old do that.
Yeah.
I mean, even as rad as my little brother was at 12, and even like Eric Dressen at 12, even Christian Soy at 12.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's some gnarly ass kids when they're 12, but to do, I mean, there's just something about Tristan, man. He's just got something that some other people don't have. And again, like you say, he makes it look so fucking easy with that little mischievous smile on his face. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I always tell Tristan, like, you gotta like sell yourself more. You gotta get it. You know what I mean?
Come out.
And you just kind of listen to me laugh. This is so Tristan, man. You can just, it's just, he's his own thing, man, and that's what's so rad about him. I mean, I'm always gonna be a champion of that kid because I've noticed he's not like one of my other kids, but he almost is. He's, you know what I mean? It's like he's just like family, man. So that's why I like that kid a lot, man. Plus, he's got his own little kid now. He's doing his own thing. He's a father, married. He's got his own pad already, man. I mean, back when I was 22, I wish I would have had what he has. You know what I mean? It's just the fact, not even his skateboard skills, but just the fact that he's got his chick already. He's got his wife. He's got a house. He's doing smart, man. You know what I mean?
Shout out.
There's so many kids out today. Even my kid Jesse today. I mean, what he could do on a skateboard is like blows my mind.
Yeah, how's he doing?
I wish I had a quarter of the skills that these kids had. You know what I mean? Because they're just so much radder than all of us on one hand. But on the other hand, they kind of know, say, hey, we wouldn't have it without you guys kind of helping and kind of paving the road for us too. So that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? I can actually kind of say that now and not like be bummed on that, or so to speak. And I when I was a kid, I was like, I'm not going to be a skater when I'm old. Is that all I'm ever going to be as a skater? But at the same time, nowadays, that's kind of how I always wanted to be honest with you. And I've always wanted to just kind of do this, and that I'm still doing is kind of rad. So that part's cool, man. So that's one thing I think that's kind of nice, that we are these kind of legend guys, so to speak, now, and me and Soy and Olsen and whoever else, all this kind of Lance, Tony. I mean, there's so many more too. There's all the Costin. There's guys like that who grew up in Fontana. He's another guy that, wow, look at this kid. He's another one of those million kids. You know what I mean? And the fact that you kind of get to know these guys and kind of get to be friends with them and get to talk to them. And I watch all these guys all the time, but when you get to talk to them, it's like, yeah, it's killer. And then it's just kind of cool. Like Costa's all stoked on Jesse. And he surfs and hangs out with the catch surf guys, and I know those guys too. And so this is kind of a small world. It all works that way. You know what I mean? We're all like doing our own things when we're kind of younger, but now we're all kind of getting older. We're doing these things, and we all kind of see each other now. And I get stoked when I see people like that, or just like I talked to Muska, one of my guys. I know his kid has some bad stuff happen to him, and his first board was a musket board, and he's like, "Hey man, Steve, can you get me a skateboard?" And so I called him Chad. And so, hey man, I got this guy, and can I get one of your boards? And then Musk was like, fuck yeah, man, what do you need? Send me a skateboard for this kid, man. So like, that's the kind of brotherhood. Skateboarding is so sick. And that's like, thank you, Chad. Fucking ruling.
Yeah, that's
the kind of thing. Like, like if Chad needs a fucking saddleboard, I'll send him a saddleboard in a heartbeat. Cost needs a saddleboard, any of these guys, like, you need a board, fuck, I'll give you a board. You know what I mean? Because you did the same thing for my kids. And that's, just like the other day, we got a little scapegoat coin in the mail from Crail Tap, that's kind of cool. Like, hell yeah, man.
Those things are killer. Yeah.
I was like, fuck yeah, that's sick, dude. Thank you so much, you guys. I was like, hell yeah. So like when you get stuff like that, it makes your day. You know what I mean? I don't know about you, but like when you get stuff in the mail, it's like,
it's the best. Yeah. I try to send people postcards, kind of giving them the idea to send me some.
Yeah.
Because I love receiving like mail. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool though. Like anytime you get mail, like from any skater dude or whatever, I think it's great. You know what I mean?
It's the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna tell you, I don't think I ever told you this before, but This is a true story. My mom took me to Upland when I was a little kid, and I had not seen any pro skaters before, and you and Alan Losey were there. So you're one of the first pro skaters in person I ever saw in my entire life.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And I have it on Super 8 somewhere. I'll dig it out. And
no way, really?
Yes. Who was that dude that you used to skate with all the time? I think he kind of had long hair.
John Nakama?
Maybe it was you and him. And I remember I think he was like, there'd be a clip of him in your part, maybe in Speed, in one of the early Santa Cruz videos. But like, I think he was
had to probably be Nakama because he skated with a lot. Or Galvin, Tim Galvin. Had to be Tim Galvin, maybe.
Yeah, but you guys were skating the pipe, and I got on Super 8.
Brad, yeah, because Galvin was in the he's in the Speed Freaks video or Streets of Fire. I think just like a tail tap on the hip.
That's him.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he was there. Losey and I think Grisham. Maybe I got photos of those guys skating the combi, and then I got Super 8 of you guys skating the pipe.
Brad, that's insane.
It was like 83 or something like that. I think
that's cool. Yeah, it's nothing. It's so cool to see old footage, like shit you've forgotten about. One of my buddies yesterday, John Zass, just sent me some photos of Fresno pools from back like in '90.
Oh,
and like, dude, it was like, wow, like I had no idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you used to skate with Pete the Ox in Fresno, right?
Yeah, we used to meet those guys there.
Yeah,
we would drive here and meet Farmer and Pete and fucking Curtis and all those guys, and Matt Neely down in Fresno. And then they would come to my house, and sometimes they'd stay with me. We skate pools all around here and all that kind of shit. And it's so crazy because, like, looking back, we were skating Pepper Pool one day. Pepper Pool is a really good permission pool we had, and we were trying to do the shallow stairs. And Ruben had crashed over the shallow stairs and like hit his like shoulder like on the stair, and he had like this bump right here. And I'm like, dude, what's that bump on your shoulder there? Like, what the fuck is that, man? Is that from skating? I don't know, man. I don't know what the fuck. And then that's when he got it checked out like a week or two later. And that's when he found out he had all the cancer stuff. You know what I mean? So like, like it was like, whoa, heavy. You know what I mean? So I remember kind of crazy shit like that. I don't know why or do. I just do. I have a fucking sick photo. They came to visit me once at my house, and I had a GoPed that I got from War Tour. I have photos of like Curtis on the GoPed, and I have photos of like Royce, a couple other guys. There's just classic shots of like Curtis on the GoPed, just like a big smile, you know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. And then there's one of Ruben too, just like this with the shitting green on his face. Is like, yeah, you know what I mean? So when you see stuff like that, especially with all that stuff that went down in those days, like, whoa, we all hung out so much. You know, I only got to skate the Black Bottom Pool in Oakland with those guys once when I went up there with them. But I used to go up to skate pools with those guys a lot. You know, with Joey and Farmer, go meet up in San Jose. We, or whatever. We drive all the way from here and go meet him up there. Then I go to the city from there. Yeah, so those were good times, man.
You remember meeting Farmer for the first time?
I think I met Farmer Pipeline. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
back
really?
in the old days. You know what I mean? And then I remember kind of like he had a pool. Oh, and these guys were living in San Diego. And Rule was going to school down there. And that's when Farmer was, I think Partain was living with Farmer at that time. And Delgado was skating down there. So I'd go down there in San Diego a lot and skate with those guys at that point.
Huh.
So I would either go to San Diego or they would come up to my house. Or sometimes we'd go to the Valley a lot and skate up there. So we were meeting all over the place. But that's when Tony was going to school in San Diego. So that's when he had long hair and like totally rocking like pads still. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like full like ponytail hair. I have some super classic footage of his skating Roar Park. You know what I mean? Of all that. But it's kind of funny because like I don't know, maybe like I did that 9 Club thing a while back, like 4 months ago, whatever it was. And Partain kind of like hit me up on Instagram and really, I liked your interview, but you're not telling it like it is, and you were lying and this and that. What are you talking about? And he was trying to say that like I stole like this videotape. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I never stole any fucking video camera. We had our own camera back in those days. You know what I mean? And so my buddy Johnny Brown had a camera that I used to borrow a lot. And Johnny Brown was the guy who used to film me and Mickey and everybody at this pipeline and the old ramp and shit. So I had Johnny Brown's camera one day. He just bought a brand new camera. It was a big VHS nightmare. And like those Panasonic ones everybody had, like the good ones before. And then we were skating this pool in San Diego, and the neighbor was all pissed off at us because he had told us not to go there again, and it was like a big scene. And then he come in the backyard and he hit Tony Farmer in the head, knocked his head off, and he had a hat on his head. He's like, "Get out of the pool!" Fucking knocked his hat off his head. I'm like, "What are you doing, man? You didn't need to hit him." And this guy was a real big guy. He was like a 6-foot dude, and he had a dog with him. And he turned around and he swung at me, and then I kind of ducked, and I was kind of pissed he did that. And then he sicked his dog on me. His dog bit me on my fucking calf, and then I was fucking furious. And you guys know how mad I can get. So I took my skateboard and swung at his head. I wanted to kill him. I wanted to rip his head off, to be honest with you. And if he wouldn't have put his hand up to block it, I probably would have.
Damn.
But he put his hand up and he blocked it, and I broke his hand. I broke his fingers. And he started screaming right there on the spot. And when he started screaming, a gas guy was out in front. The gas meter guy was reading all the meters, and he came running in the backyard. And a mailman came running in the backyard to see what's going on. And when that happened, we were all running out, trying to get away. You know what I mean? And so I had that video camera, and I made sure I did not lose the video camera, but I had my skateboard, and one of the guys knocked my skateboard down. I forget it was the gas guy, the mail guy, but my skateboard was laying on the ground. So I went back to the car because we were parked across the street at YMCA in the parking lot. And then the guy took my skateboard, was trying to swing it at all the cars as we were trying to leave. And then as we left, it was like me and Delgado and Dave Swift and 540. And we had like 7 cars that day. But anyway, like 4 or 5 of us took off, and then we parked about maybe a mile away, a half mile away. We're like, "Here we okay?" And, "Hey, did anybody get my skateboard?" Because I was pissed. I dropped my skateboard, but I was in such a panic to get out. I just left it. And then no one picked my skateboard up. So I was so irritated. I was so pissed. You just guys, come on, you guys. I fucking got the camera. And on the way to San Diego that same day, I got a ticket going like 90. So I'd already got a ticket. Now my skateboard's gone. This guy's trying to hit Farmer and chasing us. And we're sitting on the side of the road all parked there. And this guy pulls up right next to us again in his car. And he's got a camera, and his friend's with him at this point. And they're taking photos of all the license plates. But I had parked in front. So they weren't at my car yet. They started in the back. And in the meantime, the guy's taking photos of all the car license plates. The dude's on the phone calling the cops. I had like a portable phone. It's like not even a cell phone, like a portable phone with a battery. So it's still, I don't know how it worked, but it worked. And anyhow, my skateboard's in the back seat of the car, and the dog's barking out the back seat, and the window's open. And I scared the dog, and I reached in, grabbed my skateboard, and I got in, and I had in the comment Tim Galvin with me, and we just left. And we just fucking boogied out. And the guy got in his car and tried to follow us, but Delgado took off behind me. So the guy was following Delgado, and I got away, and we drove home.
Oh, wow.
And then we got home, and Julie's all, "Hey, what happened in San Diego today, Steve?" Like, the La Mesa police or whoever, whatever town we were in, called us. And they're asking me, they're saying that, somebody hit some man in the hand and blah, blah, blah. I just didn't even call the cops. They kept calling me. I just wouldn't answer. This was like pre-cell phones. I just fucking didn't answer. They need me to answer on my fucking message machine and all that. I didn't call these fuckers back for months. And then it got to the point where like Delgado got in trouble for it, and they had to go to court, and they were going to fry him for this shit. So they had to call me in as a witness to get him off, which they did, and I did, but then I had to plead the fifth, and then the guy had 7 years to press charges against me, which he never did, thank God. So that was probably one of my gnarliest court appearances, where I had to go plead the fifth, talk to a lawyer, sit in front of this guy telling this whole story, how he hit people, and how he hit him and blah, blah, blah. And it was kind of fucked, man. So
wow, Tony.
But that's kind of one of the gnarliest kind of pool stories, and you know what I mean? And so Partain was like, "Man, you got that wrong. I was there that day. And that's not the way it happened, but that's the way it happened. I remember it being there." You know what I mean? So, whatever. But the whole point is, like, he got all mad because I didn't give him some props or whatever. And he starts like saying nasty shit. You know what I mean? So I just didn't even respond. I just said, "Fucking whatever. It is what it is." You know what I mean?
That seems to be a reoccurring theme.
You know what I mean? We're like, see people are like, "Well, that's not the way it happened." It's almost like the guy slapping Phelps in the bathroom, kind of like sucker punch. It's almost the same kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Dude.
So.
Me and Rhino were there on that one. It was amazing.
Yeah. So as far as trying, like, what am I doing in 2022 and trying to keep myself, so I'm just trying to keep positive, just trying to keep going forward.
Right.
I've been doing been making my stuff, on the side and making my little art projects.
I still got that shirt you gave me.
Yeah. Cool. So I've been doing a lot of that, so So just skating. We're going to play in Huntington Beach tomorrow night.
Oh, sick.
So, that'll be kind of fun at the Aloha Grill.
All right.
I have a small little restaurant-y place, but I just want to start playing in OC more. So that's kind of why we started trying to get some more shows down there. And so that'd be fun. Brian Brand's going to come sing some songs with us tomorrow.
Oh, how cool.
So, a lot of times we'll play and we'll have him kind of guest sing. So he might do a couple blues tunes with us. And then I'm thinking he's going to sing Holidays in Cambodia by Dead Kennedys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we're thinking maybe Neat, Neat, Neat by the Damned. So he's going to probably sing those.
Rad.
Yeah. So I've known Brandon, like I said, I've known Brandon forever.
Yeah. He's a good dude.
We've done some like side musical projects together, like the 169ers with Pineapple and Olsen.
Oh,
which was
yeah.
super sick. Pineapple played drums, Brian played guitar and keyboard, and Olsen played bass.
Did you do that Christmas song?
I didn't do the Christmas song with him, no. That's a classic one. You got that?
Yeah.
That's so fucking funny, man. That's a great one, man. Yeah, he made a cool video with that, too. Did you see a little video with it?
I don't think so. He just sent me the MP3 or whatever.
Yeah, classic shit, Yeah. Brian's always got something cool going.
He's rad. Yeah, fuck yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that tomorrow.
And is it true you're an Angels fan?
Yeah, I like the Angels. I don't know why.
Tony said to give you shit about that.
Here's why.
Oh, the Halo fucking A.
Yeah, but now it's not a Halo, it's a double horn.
Devil. Shit. They got a Jack in the Box in their outfield though.
Yeah. But anyhow, I would go skate combi all the time, right? At OC. Starting in 99 when we started going there. And so I would drive past Anaheim Stadium every day to go skate. Well, not every day, but like a lot. Every time I go to the beach, go surf, I pass Anaheim Stadium. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now when Jesse was little, Jesse used to play baseball too. He was super into it. And he used to be on a team called the Cardinals. And he went to his school he was the Carnelian Cardinals. So one day at the thrift shop, I found a fucking vintage 70s Cardinals jacket, like the ones that was kind of like satiny. It's got like the snapped logos on it and like the baseball sleeves and like the Cardinal logo here. His baseball team's the Cardinals. His school's Cardinals. He's total Cardinals. And I take him to a Dodger game. He's wearing all his Cardinal gear.
Shit.
And he's 12. And this is when he's still 12, right? So he's basically game bangers start fucking talking shit on him. Take that fucking jacket off. And Jesse looked at peanuts. And they start throwing peanuts at him, at his back. And I'm a concerned dad. Like, man, what are you fucking guys doing? You're throwing peanuts at my kid now? Like, fuck you. And I'm not sure if Jesse remembers this, but I was so fucking pissed off when this happened. I said something to the dudes, and basically we had to move seats. And I was like, fuck the fucking Dodgers, man. Even though I like the Dodger team. But on one hand, fuck the Dodgers. They fucking suck. You suck. Your stadium sucks. Your fucking crowd sucks. Fuck you guys. And I never went to fucking Dodger Stadium again.
That soundbite is going to be forever.
I'm all over the Angels now. Fuck the Dodgers. So ever since then, I like the Angels. No, Jesse's a super big Dodger fan to this day, which is kind of bizarre because he was a Cardinal fan and an Angel fan. And now he's like, lives in LA, so he went fucking trendy. I'm going to like the Dodgers now. Whatever. As far as I'm concerned, fuck the Dodgers still. You know what I mean?
The fuck the Dodgers is forever in my vocabulary.
Yeah, fuck the Dodgers. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon. Just like I'm not going to jump on the Rams bandwagon either. Fuck the Rams too.
Exactly.
Oh, they're back in LA now. I'm going to jump on the band. Fuck that. I'm over it. They left a long time ago. That's when I stopped liking them then. And then they went to fucking St. Louis and did all bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the funny thing is, like, I'm a big Green Bay fan. Everybody knows that. And so, this guy the other day, I was like wearing my Green Bay shirt. And I was in the post office. This lady had a Rams shirt on. And she was just talking shit. Right? You guys suck. And then I'm all like, okay, but, just know this, lady. You took your quarterback out of my blue and fucking black and blue division. And that's the only reason you won last year. And then that shut her up real quick.
Fuck yes.
Well, I mean, I'm not a big Rams fan either, but you know what? I do like the quarterback. And I've liked the quarterback in Detroit since he played in the black and blue with Green Bay. I've seen what that guy's capable of even then. And he was a badass quarterback. He still is, but he just didn't have the team support to support him.
Who's that, Stafford?
Stafford.
Yeah.
So now he's got support. But I'm just telling you, man, black and blue division's gnarly. So like you got Chicago, Minnesota, Green Bay, and Detroit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't even know why I like Green Bay. I always have since I was a stupid kid. Since weird. I was like, even back when Fausto was around back in 93, 94, it's like He was giving me shit for liking Green Bay. Here's a funny one. Now, back when fucking they won the Super Bowl, there was a contest right before that. And we were driving back up north, me, Fausto, and Mofo. And I forget, there was someone else with us. And we were listening to the game, going over the grapevine on the 5. And the grapevine was all snowed in. And we couldn't move. So we got there and when they were stuck and had to listen to the game in the car like that. And I just remember like they were just so stoked on the 49ers. I'm like, yeah, this is killer, man. I mean, Green Bay wasn't even like a pleasure back in those days. But even then, I still like Green Bay. I like Doug Peterson as a quarterback, and then Majerski was a quarterback back in those days.
Huh.
It's just, I've liked him since then. I don't even know why. I'm not even from Wisconsin. I'm a California boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was trip on that with Tony too. He loves them too. I'm like, how's that connection?
Yeah, so I don't know. I just liked him back in those days. But I think one of the reasons too I like them, number one, is because they're not a full corporate team like everybody else. They're owned by all the people. And I think that's sick.
Yeah,
you know, they're not owned by a billionaire.
Right.
So that's one reason I like Green Bay to this day still. You know what I mean? And personally, I wish Roger would go to the Super Bowl again, just get it over so we quit. But and let's face it, if you want to talk football for a minute here, like, hey, all those guys are gnarly. But when it's fucking crunch time, when you got like 30 seconds left in the game and you're down, who do you want in that fucking position? And we all know who's fucking pulled that shit off the most. It's fucking Rodgers. That guy's a miracle man somehow. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, that's around now, right? Well, Brady's up there, right?
No, Brady's right too. Hey, there's no denying. I mean, I think Brady's insane, but I just like Rodgers because he's got more grit. And it's like Green Bay's like the Goliath taking on fucking David the Goliath kind of shit. You know what I mean? When you got the Patriots, I mean, you know, their guy, Robert Kraft, is such a billionaire. Those guys got all the money in the world to do what they want.
Sucks.
Of course they do. But I'm just saying, you know what I mean? All those kind of guys like that. You know what I mean?
All right. So you don't like either team, but if you had to pick who's better, Brady, Joe Montana of all time.
Wow. I'm going to go with Joe Montana still, though. Just because, you know what? I saw that shit in my own eyes.
Yeah.
And I saw, and let's face it, Joe Montana was fucking basically Rodgers of that era.
Yeah, he could.
When it was crunch
back.
time, and you wanted to win the fucking game in 30 seconds, it was fucking Montana back in the. Now, I'm not saying Brady couldn't do that. He has done it from time to time. And he's still, you know, but again, I think at crunch time, when it's crunch time, you want Montana or you want Rodgers.
They didn't call him Joe Cool for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, hey, there's no Brady's gnarly. He is. There's no denying what he does is insane. And what Brady's like, he's like Tony Hawk on skateboard, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there is no denying it. But you know, when you really kind of take it all apart and stuff like that, he's got a good cast of characters, his whole team that they built up. While in reality, sometimes, you know, Rodgers doesn't always have the support he needs all the time. And Montana has support when they won Super Bowl year and they won Super Bowl year the next year. But even then, when he played for KC, now look at those last couple of games he played for KC, and he was down, and he still fucking won. So my point is, even when he didn't have a good support system, he still fucking pulled it.
Yeah.
But then again, here's who I like more than all these guys put together. Buffalo Bills back in the 80s when they went Super Bowl 4 times.
And
Jim Kelly.
Yeah.
Jim Kelly in my book. Now that guy is a motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Man, they got there every year, but couldn't win.
But that's in the old days, that was my favorite team was the Buffalo Bills because they had a lot of grit. You know what I mean?
I used to love, what was his name? Billy Sims, running back from Lions.
Yeah.
It was sick.
Yeah.
Well, shit, dude, I've taken plenty of your time. I appreciate it. Though I was gonna ask you one last thing, and it's about like the 3 combis. The original one is Forever. That's where you fucking did it and everything. And then obviously the one indoors at the mall where they had those contests, those are so, like you said, kind of the Super Bowl every year, like such a rad. Vans has killed it with those contests and just getting all the people together and having such a show. But I'm more interested to hear your take on the newest one, which they reversed. And it's also probably a lot mellower and easier to skate, but just finding new lines because they reversed it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like was super kind of like bummed when they did that, to be honest with you.
Really?
Because to be honest with you, it was more cab that wanted to do that more than anybody.
Mm.
And when me and Grosso and Lance
Because he's goofy?
we're actually trying to talk him out of it.
Huh.
You know what I mean? Because he wanted to flip-flop it and do the lines we were doing in the other one and the new one. That was the whole premise.
Ah.
It's just like when the old pool was white, Bucky was the star of Vans.
Yeah.
And Bucky couldn't ride the white one like he could ride the gray one, so they had him redo it.
Huh.
So that's kind of basically, you know what I mean? I'm not sure that's a complete circumstance, but I just know that's when they kind of redid the pool at that point and made it gray from white.
But
you know
it's
what I mean?
not the same. I mean, it's so much easier to skate. The original one was fucking gnar.
Yeah, of course. So when you really look at it, there's Combi 1 Pipeline,
Yeah.
the original.
Right.
Then you got Combi White, which is an offshoot inside, which I still think the white one was the better one out of them all because it was like a pool. It was like more like old Upland.
Uh-huh.
When it was white, it was wicked because you had to like get used to kinks. Well, then when it wasn't so much kink, but lumps. There was lumps, and it was kind of wavy.
Right.
And it was slippery too. So you had to deal with the slippery too. So you had to figure all that out. So that's why, in my opinion, the white Combi inside was better than when they did it gray. So I'm still going to always go to first Pipeline because I think that was the best one. By the time when you look back, and we couldn't skate that nowadays. I mean, you want to skate 8 and 3S, you're going to kill yourself in today's world like that, right?
Yeah.
But so inside one, the first one, white was better than the gray one, which I think is Combi number 3, version 3. Combi number 4, version 4 is the reverse.
Okay.
Which I like reverse on one hand, but when they were building it, my thing was the hips are too tight. Now, if you're a kid, all the new kids can hit that ollie off that shit, no problem. Someone like Grant Taylor can go bust a big ass fucking go into the square, probably like a big ass India right there. You know what I mean? On the hit. But me and Lance aren't going to be able to do that because we don't have that lightness on our feet to ollie bend the things like we do. We hit out the coping more. So that's the difference between the new and the old world. I think the reverse one and the other ones. The reverse one's a little bit different in the sense where the square is not as good as the other square, in my opinion, either. It's a little bit tighter. And they didn't have much room because they had the wall there that had to make them to make it a little bit longer as opposed to more rectangular. It's more of a square than a rectangle. I think the Combi inside was more of a rectangle than a square, even though it was a square pool. You know what I mean? Now that be, all that's like that's 4 versions. Now you got the new one, which they made at Eddie's place out in
by Palm Springs, right?
La Quinta, which is like a smaller Combi. And I've only ridden that one once, but I went and rode that. And it was so fucking small compared to the other ones. I was just blowing out everywhere. Every time I do a front side, I would just blow out.
Oh shit!
Every time, and it wasn't until like I got super frustrated, went back to the car, kind of chilled for a little bit, played some guitar, and then one of my buddies that comes out, Mad Dog, is like, "Hey, you're trying to skate this like you do all the other ones. Try to skate like a backyard pool." And the minute I went and did that and thought about backyard pool lines as opposed to my Combi lines, and it was a completely different animal. And then I started having fun. So I've only ridden a new one once. I need to go back there again and ride it. But right now it's so fucking hot out there. It's
hot as shit, right?
Yeah, in my house today, it's like 90. Let's see. It's supposed to get cooking today.
Does it have lights?
It does have lights.
Okay.
So right now it's 88 at my house. It's not bad. It's only supposed to be 90 today. But out there, it's 115.
For sure. Fuck that.
You know? And like you're further, like the more you go in the Palm Springs, like now you're actually in Palm Desert. So if you're in Palm Springs proper, you got that big mountain kind of holding all the stuff back. And it's hot there still. But if you go to Palm Desert, it's like, I'm thinking 7 to 10 degrees hotter there than Palm Springs proper. You know what I mean? So it's cooking out there right now. And here's what's so stupid. Both the parks, like the new Palm Springs Park, La Quinta, it's not open until 12 noon.
Oh, weird.
On a weekday. They're working at 9 o'clock on a weekday morning. But like, dude, it's 115. You don't want to skate at 12 noon. What are you guys thinking? You know what I mean? So yeah, that kind of pisses me off a little bit, just the hours.
Right.
The hours are really weird, you know what I mean? Because Action Alliance runs that place. And Action Alliance is the guys out of Texas that do they're like park nanny, so to speak. You know what I mean? They have like a little kiosk and like a little, they're good, so nothing happens, basically. That's what happened to Fontana. At Fontana, I'm thinking, 12 years ago, that kid got shot and killed at the skate park, which is just tragic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the gangbangers across the street had a beef with all the kids at the skater kids and were hassling the kids. And we were there the night prior to that happening. And those same kids were out there hassling us too, and we were kind of getting into it with them. but nothing happened the night we were there. And the night it happened is this black kid, this really fucking rad kid, man. He was a good skater too, and he was sticking up for some of the other kids because the little game area kids were picking on the little kids and telling them to give him money and taking their skateboard. And the one black kid was a teenager, like an 18, 17-year-old runner, wanted to help him out and say, "Hey man, back off." And those kids went and shot him, killed him.
That sucks.
So that's why they had to put that's why Fontana has the pad nanny thing in there now. Ever since then, now that granted, the apartments across the street aren't as bad as they used to be, and they kind of clean them up. But here's the sad thing about all the skate parks, though. And this just kind of sucks. It's almost like the football stadiums. Every time you build a skate park in every city, the city almost always builds a skate park in the worst part of the city.
Yeah. Because
it's the most least economically impact for all the other businesses. So like we can build this here.
Yeah.
It's the cheapest amount of land, so to speak. So we don't have to pay a minimum dollars or whatever. So whatever the reasoning is. And so that part kind of sucks. You know what I mean? So some of the parks get built, not all of them, but some of them. Like Fontana, when they first built that park, the apartments across the street from it were just gnarly.
Fuck.
They were known for that shit. Like when they built Upland Memorial Park, they used to know all the game areas there would sell heroin there. They knew it. But they built the park there anyhow. You know what I mean? So that kind of shit. That's all I'm trying to get at. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's the same up here. There's one in Hayward that a kid got killed too, like pretty sketchy neighborhood.
Yeah.
It sucks. Fuck.
So that part sucks. And, that shouldn't happen at the skate park. Usually it's mostly positive things like kids skating, but, you got a lot of randoms that come to skate parks too and just hang out and cause problems. And that happens. That's what's happening in San Diego at City Heights. They're in a kind of bad neighborhood there. And the kid got killed there pretty recently too. You know what I mean? But it had nothing to do with skateboarding. It just got killed at the park. Like, and it wasn't at the skate park proper, but it's a master park. So it's part of the master park plan. You know what I mean? So that happens a lot too. You know?
Damn.
Well, hey, thanks for letting me.
Dude, we did it, dude. Episode 169.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Thanks on that one.
Me too. What song should we end it with?
You got that one Thrasher song? From Thrasher. I'm on Fire. Well, that song's actually called Flame Fatale.
Okay.
That's the name of it. But yeah, that'd be sick. I'm on fire.
Fuck yeah.
Flames of desire.
Dude, I always appreciate picking your brain, and lots of love, man. Thanks for taking the time.
And, I'm going to come up your way soon and we'll come visit.
Yeah, hit me up. You guys got to meet my wife.
Yeah, I want to come up and visit and come skate up there.
Okay, let me know.
Yeah. Okay, buddy. Good seeing you. Thank you.
You too. Take care.
Appreciate it, man.
Okay, bye-bye.
Much love. Later, skating.
She's my pony, she's my witch, she's my sweetest main bitch, oh yeah. She's just a bitch. 10,000 volts in the hair, Bobby, yeah. She's my little red Jimmy, oh yeah. She's electric. I'm on fire. Burning with the flames of desire. Brick City boys got flames house in bare flames, and that ain't all, man. No, that ain't all. Explosion, shake, car scene, putting out fire with gasoline, oh yeah. Combustion. I'm on
Thank you for listening to another episode of Talkin Schmit. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. When you subscribe, you'll get notifications every Tuesday of new episodes the minute they become available. Also, please leave reviews and a 5-star rating. It's the best way to help the show grow. All of the episodes will always remain free, but if you would like to help support the show, you can do so at talkinschmit.com, where you can pick up some merchandise like t-shirts, beanies, hats, and stickers. The website has an entire archive of all of the episodes, with extra photos and videos. Email us with any suggestions, comments, or ways that the show may have improved your life at talkingschmit@gmail.com. All interviews are conducted, edited, and produced by Schmitty. The intro music is Mary's Cross by the band Nature. A very special shout out goes to the executive director, Cheryl Camisa.
Shout out.
Love it!
This is Talkin Schmit, where the Rolodex is deep, but the conversation is deeper.
Keep the wheels greased.